those leaders that have accepted to be here. So it's an important one for our continent. It is important for Russia.
President Buhari in Sochi set for Russia-Africa Summit Wednesday.
Another initiative is the full activation of the private sector-led 6 special economic zones.
Trade and Investment Ministry to establish agro-processing zones in 2020 to accelerate government's diversification drive.
The committee is actually meant to facilitate and help the ministry.
Enabling conducive environment for information dissemination, NAS committee and agencies rub minds. Plus, setback for Boko Haram terrorists as more commanders succumb to federal might. Good evening and welcome to Network News on the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Kenen Ima Abodike. Also reading with me tonight are Dotun Oguyemi in Lagos and Zulay Mohammed in Kaduna. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Sochi, Russia, the Russian Federation, ahead of the Russia-Africa Summit beginning on Wednesday. The summit, expected to last 3 days, will focus on exploring and expanding opportunities in security, trade and investment, science and technology, as well as gas production. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
The Nigerian Air Force 001 aircraft conveying President Muhammadu Buhari and his entourage arrived Sochi International Airport at 12:30 Tuesday morning local time. The president, accompanied by the governors of Ekiti, Gombe and Zamfara states, was received by a high-powered Russian government delegation led by the mayor of the city of Sochi as well as the Nigerian ambassador to Russia. Also at the airport were the Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Security Advisor, and other senior government officials. At the Russia-Africa Summit, President Buhari will join other African and Russian leaders to bring fresh perspectives on some global issues and challenges like nuclear technology, energy development, digital transformation, environment, technical security, mining and steel, education, agriculture, infrastructure, and development strategies.
More than 30 heads of state and prime ministers have pledged their commitment to be here. President Muhammadu Buhari is part of those leaders that have accepted to be here. So it's an important one for our continent. It is important for Russia. At the end of this summit, it is hoped that Nigeria and African countries would put together for themselves a new security architecture for the continent that should hopefully, take from the Russian experience in protecting cities against terrorism, in protecting our borders against infiltration by criminals, inflow of weapons, of drugs, smuggling, and illegal explosives. So security is important. We obviously would expect developments in trade and investment, which lies at the heart of the meeting itself. And such matters that may also impinge on culture, identity, and sovereignty of nations on the continent.
President Buhari is scheduled to meet with President Vladimir Putin of Russia to further strengthen relations in security, trade and investment, as well as building partnership that will enhance Nigeria's huge gas potentials.
Nigerians will not forget Russia's support for the unification of Nigeria, the support they gave to Nigeria during the civil war years, at a time when some of our traditional friends had deserted us. Russia is still doing so much for us, dealing with the procurement of military hardware in tackling the insurgency, particularly in the northeast. It is important that President Buhari is here at a time when the effort is being made to push out permanently the insurgency in the northeast and infiltration by Islam in West Africa groups. So I believe that a lot will be discussed on matters of military procurement. The Russians have achieved perhaps the greatest success anybody could using the gas resources available to their own country. Nigeria would be talking to Russians on possibilities in enhancing and utilizing our enormous gas resources. There will be discussion on power, iron and steel. Don't forget Ajaokuta. So all of these things are important in the view of the president, and they will be put on the table.
An African business forum which will bring together African and Russian business leaders will also be held towards enhancing Russian investments in Africa and promoting African business interests in the Russian Federation. From Sochi, Russia, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Joining me now in the studio to discuss Nigeria's place in the first full-scale top-level meeting between Russia and some African leaders is Clement Onoja Aduko, Nigeria's former diplomat to Moscow. You're welcome to Network News.
Thank you very much for having me.
President Putin has expressed readiness to strengthen military, technical, and humanitarian cooperation, as well as assistance to African countries. How do you think Nigeria can maximize these, considering the realities on ground?
Yeah, thank you so much. In my own very considered opinion, Nigeria has all to gain by establishing very close and cordial diplomatic relations with the Russian Federation. His Excellency President Vladimir Putin had all this while tried to show the influence of Russia across the globe. And of course, he's not unaware of the dominant influence of China on the continent. So Russia also wants to establish that kind of very strong hold on the continent of Africa, considering the enormous potentials available in the continent, especially within the confines of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nigeria, like we all know, is a country that has enormous potentials and would also want to key into the global agenda to foster her own economic growth, and especially trade with all these major countries of the world. It has always been in our own best interest to take advantage of the enormity and the potentials of Russia to also help our own country grow in various aspects, especially in trade and investment.
Okay, participating countries at the Sochi summit have also been advised to package solid proposals aimed at enhancing bilateral relations. How can Nigeria avoid conflict of interest in view of the renewed interests by other superpowers in recent time?
That is very interesting because during my 4-year stint, the Director of Trade and Investment, the Embassy of Nigeria, the Russian Federation in Moscow, the Russians had always tried to give an excuse that maybe because of the distance and because of the fact that Nigeria is far away, and that most ECOWAS member countries, including Nigeria, of course, have tried to turn to the West more than to Russia. But now, the realities of today and has introduced a paradigm shift in that kind of thought, and that is the justification for this issue of trying to bring Nigeria and other major players in the African economy closer to the Russian Federation. It is very, very obvious that Nigeria will maximize the advantage of this rapport that the Russians are trying to establish with African countries, of course with Nigeria on the focus. Everybody knows that Nigeria has the largest economy in the continent, and with the enormous potentials we have in terms of population, in terms of a natural resource endowment, Russia and Nigeria will have mutual benefit when they all come together and work closely with one another.
That brings to mind the Ajaokuta project, which Russia is said to have offered to complete. How good is that offer for the socio-economic development of Nigeria diplomatically? Yes.
Of course, the arguments about how to continue and proceed with the huge investment and resources already in place at the Ajaokuta Iron and Steel complex has always dominated discussion both within and outside. But then I am very convinced that if the Ajaokuta Iron and Steel complex comes fully into operation, one, it will create a lot of employment for our teeming number of unemployed youths. Two, it will also generate that homegrown investment possibilities that we would need to attract more other foreign direct investors, because the iron and steel complex, incidentally, I come from that part of the country, and I've been there several times to see the enormous waste in that kind of place, which of course, if put back into use, will have a lot to do with us. So invariably, Nigeria, when Russia, since they have agreed to come to partner with us to complete that abandoned project for so long, Nigeria will certainly maximize benefits from that mutual cooperation, in my considered opinion.
Thank you indeed for your thoughts on the news tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
We were speaking with the former Nigeria's diplomat to Moscow, Clement Onoja Aduku. Now, a federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered the interim forfeiture of 23 landed properties linked to the former chairman of the Pension Reforms Tax Team, Abdulrasheed Maina, and his son to the federal government. Justice Folashade Giwa Ogunbanjo gave the order this Tuesday following an ex-party application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Olabode Arewa reports that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission filed an ex-party motion seeking an order that Abdulrasheed Maina and his Faisal son should temporarily forfeit the said landed properties, allegedly being the proceeds of fraud. The 23 properties in question were alleged to have been purchased in two names, and the ex-party motion counsel to the EFCC Salisu Abubakar indicated that the properties were located in Abuja, Borno, Kaduna, Sokoto, Kano, and Nasarawa State. Justice Folashade Giwa Ogunbanjo, while granting the order, directed that the interim forfeiture notice be published in a national daily within 14 days. This is to enable anyone with an interest in the 23 properties across the country to show cause why they should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment aims to establish agro-processing zones across the country in 2020. The Minister of State for the Ministry, Mariam Katagun, stated this while defending the Ministry's 2020 budget before the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
The 2020 budget defense at the National Assembly is now in full swing. The number of entrants and budget scrutiny sessions tell the story better. As early as 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, the management of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment had appeared before the Senate Committee on Trade and Investment to provide justification for 12.1 billion naira proposal for 2020 fiscal year.
Another initiative is the full activation of the private sector-led 6 special economic zones that are to be located in Lekki, Eyimba, Funtua, Ibom, Kano, and Benue.
To strengthen your ministry and agencies, we call upon you to bring up the existing laws that need amendment for further action.
In one of the committee rooms where the management of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the NFIU, Modibo Haman Tukur, explained to the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes that the intelligence agency is to spend 3.5 billion naira on the construction of the ongoing office headquarters of the Commission. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi had defended the budget of the maritime sector before the Joint National Assembly Committee on Maritime Transportation and House of Representatives on Port and Harbour.
The ministry is proposing a total capital budget of 748,296,254 naira.
For the Senate Committee on Power, it was time to wrap up its 2020 budget scrutiny with the Minister of Power, Saleh Maman, ruling out some of the proposed projects in the 2020 budget.
Kasina Wingford, Kashimbula Hydro Project. The project is expected to be completed before the end of this year. Zongiro Project, Mambila Project.
Senate Committee on Capital Markets interacted with the Acting Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission, Mary Udok, where the committee advised her to revive Nigeria's commodity exchanges and introduce new products into the market.
The issue of unclaimed dividend must be thoroughly dealt with by SEC and CSCS for investors' confidence and growth of the capital market.
Meanwhile, the Niger State Caucus in the National Assembly briefed National Assembly correspondents, during which they urged federal government to intervene in what it described as the deplorable condition of major roads in Niger State.
And what we are asking for is a state of emergency to be declared on 3 roads in the first instance. Of course, it will be our wish that all the 33 roads will be fixed.
The Niger State legislators solicited a special intervention fund for 3 roads, Mina Suleja, Jeba Kaduna, and Bida Lambata roads from the National Assembly. Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Serika, says establishment of a national air carrier and an aviation university are among plans of the ministry under its public-private partnership for 2020. He stated this while addressing the House of Representatives Committee on Aviation during the ministry's budget defense. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
With a proposal of more than 41 billion naira as capital expenditure for 2020, the Minister of Aviation says the amounts, when released, will be used to sustain infrastructure renewal and upgrade of necessary aviation equipment for safety and security, including other projects to be undertaken under the public-private partnership.
We have also approached the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to provide viability gap funding for the establishment of the national carrier.
The Civil Aviation Act forwarded to the National Assembly by the President, both sides agreed, would improve activities in aviation. Also at the House for Budget Defense was the Minister of Science and Technology, during which he highlighted the ministry's budget performance for 2019 and projections for 2020.
We have the Nigerian solution. We have been able to come up with something that is distinct, completely Nigerian. You need to read the Science, Technology and Innovation Roadmap. That roadmap that is 2017 to 2030 has given assignment to all ministries, departments and agencies.
We as a committee, together with the minister and the ministry, have to find a way of making all the science and technology institutions in Nigeria effective.
The minister commended the National Assembly for working in tandem with the ministry in efforts to put Nigeria on the world map as an emerging nation on new innovations in science and technology. When the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Akindari, appeared before the House Committee on Youth Development, he informed the committee that more than 70% of appropriations to the ministry goes to the NYSC scheme, stressing that the ministry has not deviated from its core mandate of national unity and sustainable development.
The 2020 budget proposal emphasizes investment in our citizens, particularly the youth, in order to achieve the growth aspiration of government and the goal to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
At the National Assembly, we will back up the ministry whenever and whatever and however they want to make sure that Nigerian youth get the best out of the system and out of the polity.
Meanwhile, House Committee on Public Procurement at a budget defense session with the Bureau for Public Procurement says our stakeholders' efforts should be geared towards implementing reforms of the present administration to curb corrupt practices in procurement procedure.
Also, the committee will intensify its oversight function with a view to strengthen the Bureau for greater productivity.
The Bureau, through its prior review of contracts in the year 2018, saved more than 26.86 billion naira for the federal government.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Still on the National Assembly, the House Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values and the Ministry of Information and Culture have recommitted themselves to collaborating more towards effective, better improvement in information dissemination in the country. Adebola Bruscle Sunday tells us more.
The minister and his team were received by the chairman of the committee, Olusegun Odebunmi, who in his remarks said information management is critical to national cohesion and development.
Honorable colleagues, invited guests.
In this regard, the chairman promised effective oversight to ensure Nigerians get the best from the ministry and its agencies.
This committee will oversight all agencies under its jurisdiction without any other witch hunting. The approach will also be a police patrol method, preventive
in nature and not fire alarm. That is detective.
That remarks obviously pleased the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who said the familiarization meeting will go a long way in helping the committee to understand the challenges of the ministry and help fast-track solutions to enhance productivity.
The committee is actually meant to facilitate and help the ministry. That is the purpose of the committee. Even when the committee comes to do oversight, they are not coming there with the purpose of punishing anybody. They are coming there with the purpose of listening to our complaints, and where we are not doing too well, let us know. Where we are doing well, encourage us.
The Information and Culture Ministry and its agencies are scheduled to defend their 2020 budgetary proposal at the National Assembly Wednesday, 23rd October 2019. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Boko Haram's top commander captured. Details in just a moment. To stay with us.
National blogger. I travel a lot. Canada. India. Times Square. Hollywood.
Shut down New York, and they will be back in India. This tour is going to be fantabulous. I'm telling you the truth. We are shutting down London. But it's been an awesome time hanging out with you. It's time for dance. Hey! You must be on Glow.
Is that your new pickup line?
Glow Super Value Pack. Enjoy more talk time with data and more data with talk time in Nigeria and your favorite international destinations.
Because as a comedian, I like to talk.
So true.
So what do? Oh, I'll call you.
Dial *777# to choose a plan.
From our wonderful family, meet Smalley, our little one. He's always hanging out with friends. Packed with healthy nutrition, nourishing vitamins, power-up protein, strength of calcium, revitalizing energy. Hollandia yogurt is bursting with goodness inside and out. Hollandia yogurt, it's all good.
Hey, bro, what's up, man?
Wait. Sure, son, I want the bicycle.
Enjoy more data than before on Airtel Home Broadband. Get up to 160 gigabytes on routers with 25,000 Naira and 55 gigabytes on Airtel MiFis with 12,000 Naira. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network. In a country filled with different and unique kinds of people, there's no such thing as one size fits all for everything, especially sleep. That's why there's a Muka specially made for you. The Pepper Dem Gang, the Mamas, the Daddies, the Papas, the Zaddies, the baby girls, the fit fam, and the I cannot come and go and kill myself. Whoever you are, there's a Muka for you. So find your Muka today and wake up feeling good and ready to take on the day. Visit www.muka.com.
Your information dey important, just like your identity.
Now the only way we fit take hala you make you go browse easy.gotvafrica.com. Sign in with your IUC number and mobile number and scroll down to personal details and address. Then check well to see say everything bam. You fit change the one wey not correct. To finish everything, just click the save button and it don't finish.
Thank you. I make sure say my phone number dey correct. That's not why GoTV fit call me make I come collect my own awoof.
Angel, time for my phone in that way because now my correct phone number dey for book.
GoTV, live it, love it.
Now look me again, no. Make you go do your own.
Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit 2019 holds on the 6th to the 8th of November 2019. The summit will take place at the Banquet Hall Presidential Villa, Abuja, Nigeria. Theme: leveraging diaspora resources for economic growth. Sectors: agribusiness, education, training, healthcare, entertainment, sports, hospitality and tourism, infrastructure and real estate, manufacturing, extractive industries, telecommunications, technology and innovation, waste management and environmental remediation, transportation. For registration, visit www.ndis.gov.ng. For participation and sponsorship, please call 090-177-77008, 0817-2244-660. Convened by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission.
Welcome back. Nigeria's enabling business environment continues to improve as the nation's ministries, departments and agencies comply with the Ease of Doing Business Executive Order 001 of 2017. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that Vice President Yemi Osinbajo this Tuesday received the 2019 compliance report on the executive order.
The Enabling Business Environment Secretariat, the operational team of PEBEC, monitoring how well ministries, departments and agencies are complying with the Executive Order 01, presented its second report to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Council's meeting.
Updating ourselves on all of the progress that we are making with respect to the ease of doing business. So thank you very much and congratulations everyone.
On efficiency compliance ranking, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission came first with 96.33%. On transparency assessment ranking, the Federal Inland Revenue Service scored 100%, while on cumulative compliance, the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority came first with 88.37%.
Just hope that this report makes it such that we have more commitment from ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government. The idea is to have access to information, transparency. We also have our report gov. So we have there some testimonials and some good news of people that have complimented some of the work of the MDAs also. So it's an informative document. It's quite interesting and I think everybody should take a look.
The impact of the compliance to this order is the nation moving up and sits at 146th position out of 190 economies in the 2019 World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking, but still with the determination to move up to the 70th position by 2023. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is working on a framework that will produce a unified national social register to track beneficiaries of social investment programs. This came to the fore during an interactive session between officials of the Ministry and the National Assembly Joint Committee on Social Investment Poverty Reduction in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Vivian Idebefo has details of these and other engagements of the lawmakers.
History is one of the new ones created by President Muhammadu Buhari to coordinate social intervention activities and give focus to government's resolve to improve the lives of the people. Haja Sadia Umar Farouk, flanked by presidential advisors on social investment and other officials of the ministry, briefed the Joint Committee on the task ahead as well as the success stories like the school feeding program, which have made Nigeria a global reference point in the fight against social inequality.
About 9.9 million school children have been fed across the country, and we have also touched on unemployed youths. So it is an ongoing program, and we hope that by the year, in 10 years' time, we'll be able to achieve Mr. President's objective of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
The committee is ready to give you 100% support to achieve the objective of the government of delivering to the Nigerian populace the goodies that will help reduce poverty and improve the social welfare of the country.
We are working towards achieving one goal: to make your ministry of poverty alleviation, social investment, to make it succeed.
From the Joint Committee room, the minister moved to the House of Representatives for an interactive session with the House Committee on Internally Displaced Persons. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs continued its budget defense before the House of Representatives Committee on Niger Delta.
I want to appeal to the chairman to personally intervene with the other committee in the Senate, so that we can iron out the gray areas, so that it will make your job easy.
I will help you. I will need to make a case to the leadership, to the speaker.
In a related development, the Senate Committee on Public Accounts has directed the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to make available all relevant documents needed for a seamless budgetary process before the end of the week. From the National Assembly, Vivian Idekpefo, NTA News.
Let's now go to security matters, where in yet another successful covert operation, the combined troops of 26 Task Force Brigade, 21 Special Armored Brigade and elements of Civilian Joint Task Force, while acting on a piece of intelligence, conducted a sting operation against some Boko Haram criminals hibernating around Polka General area of Goza, local government area of Borno State. In a statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator Colonel Aminu Ilyasu, the operation led to the arrest of 16 active Boko Haram members. Preliminary investigation revealed that some of the arrested suspects participated in the heinous attack on Polka and Goza, including the barbaric execution of some Nigerian police personnel some time ago. 2 of the arrested Boko Haram criminals have been on the Nigerian Army Most Wanted Boko Haram list, earlier published on Series 41 and 90. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukoro Yusufu Baratai, has commended the Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Olusegun Adeniyi, as well as the officers and men of Operation Lafia Dole for this commendable feat in service of their fatherland. In the related developments, the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has neutralized several Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP fighters at Bukar Meram on the fringes of Lake Chad in the northern part of Borno State. In a statement by NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikule Daramola, the operation was executed on the 21st of October 2019 based on credible intelligence reports that indicated a resumption of the use of the location to provide logistic support to the terrorists using fishing as a cover. "81 suspected kidnappers, robbers and internet fraudsters have been paraded by the Nigerian police force. Doyin Diya reports that amongst them is the notorious Ibrahim Issa, otherwise known as Danny, and his gang, who operate along the Abuja-Kaduna highway.
Of the law, 44 years old Ernest Eboo is a graduate of microbiology, claimed to be an orthopedic doctor with the United Nations. His job is to identify unsuspecting female partners and defraud them online.
The requirement is you should pay
some money for your insurance, for your life and health insurance. It's $1,050.
Another case presented to the press is the Shuaibu Den Kaduna kidnap and armed robbery gang who operate along the Abuja-Kaduna highway.
That is the member of the gang that blocked the road on 26th of August and killed the police inspector.
Operatives here also extended their investigative and operational activities to Taraba State, where another kidnap gang numbering about 21 were all rounded up. That gang stands today totally decimated.
There were other cases of kidnapping, illegal possession of firearms, amongst others. Exhibits recovered from the suspects include 10.1 million naira ransom, military uniforms, laptops, cars, and ammunitions. Doing Dia NT News.
In line with 8 corporate social responsibility, NNPC Total joint venture have distributed 40 tricycles and 16 minibuses to youths of Egiland in Oba, Egbama, Ndoni local government area of Rivers State. The initiative is part of the joint venture's economic empowerment program for youths of its host community of OML 58. Emmanuel Lene was at the official handover of the transport scheme and now reports.
The distribution of the 40 tricycles and 16 minibuses to youths of Egiland in Rivers State is another of several interventions by Total EMP Nigeria Limited, operating partner of the NNPC Total joint venture, to encourage and boost enterprise development within its host communities, this time that of OML 58. The initiative will, among others, support inter- and intra-communal movement of persons, goods, and services within the local economy, as well as support the potential of the youth in creating wealth. Deputy General Manager, Community Affairs and Development, Total EMP, Port Harcourt District, was represented by the Manager, Business Enterprises Development, Mr. Patrick Idoko.
Total EMP Nigeria Limited has consistently maintained that investing in people and giving them skills and the wherewithal to progress with an aim to build a society is one of our goals.
President General Egi People's Assembly, Apostle Magnus Elemele, commended the initiative by Total to move Egiland forward and charged the beneficiaries to make good use of the opportunity.
Total has empowered a lot of people, and today they have come up with tricycles and minibuses. My advice, let them live from grass to grace.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed appreciation to Total, promising to keep to the terms of the cooperative initiative.
In this gesture today, we give succor to hundreds.
I really want to appreciate Total for the initiative.
Beneficiaries are expected to pay off cost of the items and income generated used to relaunch the scheme for others to benefit. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
Now, the Buhari Media Organization has advised the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, to avoid any action that will truncate smooth academic exercise nationwide in the name of protest against President Muhammadu Buhari's insistence on full implementation of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPPIS. The group said ASUU should not allow itself to be seen as saboteurs of a scheme that is bound to weed out ghost workers and improve the efficiency of payroll administration in public universities. The group noted that the scheme had saved the country more than 330 billion naira since 2017. In a statement signed by its chairman, Niyi Akishiju, BMO said ASUU's plan for a showdown over IPPIS could easily be interpreted as corruption fighting back. BMO further accused ASUU of mobilizing 8 members for a strike, even when records showed that federal government had agreed to take the peculiarities of the university system into consideration. Let's now join Dalton in Lagos for stories from that zone. Hello, Dalton.
Thank you, Kenna, and welcome to Lagos.
The former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, has denied all allegations brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, before Justice Mohammed Idris of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos. Kalu was alleged of conspiracy and money laundering and a sum of 7.65 billion naira. Ambalero Ogbara has this and 2 other court cases held this Tuesday.
The former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, has been on the case of alleged fraud for about 12 years. After the prosecution and the defense counsels adopted their written and canvassed final arguments, Justice Idris fixed 2nd of December 2019 for judgment in the trial. Meanwhile, the 6.9 billion naira fraud trial of the former governor, Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, continued at the court this Tuesday, with a second prosecution witness, Abiodun Oshode, narrating to the court how the bank took a billion van to the Akure airport to evacuate a sum of 1.219 billion naira from an aircraft. The trial continues Wednesday. Still at the Federal High Court, a popular hip-hop artist, Naira Marley, is being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on 11-count charge. He was arraigned on the 28th of May 2019, but pleaded not guilty. He secured 2 million naira bail with 2 sureties in like sum. Naira Marley and his accomplices allegedly used Access Bank card number issued to other persons to obtain fraudulent gains. Naira Marley, through his counsel, Olaleko Ojo, SAN, prayed Justice Nicholas Oweibo to halt proceedings until a motion he filed is determined. In the motion, the defendants prayed the court to compel the EFCC to furnish him with the prosecution witnesses' statements. He prayed the court to hear his motion before the prosecution calls its first witness, but EFCC counsel Rotimi Oyedepo said the prosecutor was not in possession of the required documents. Besides, he said the defense was not entitled to the statements as of right. In a bench ruling, Justice Oweibo granted Marley's prayer and adjourned trial till Wednesday, 23rd of October in Lagos. Abolore Ogbara, NT News.
The MTN Foundation What Can We Do Together initiative is aimed at complementing government's efforts at improving the quality of lives in Nigerian communities. And matching words with action, the foundation organized an award and appreciation dinner in Lagos to honor nominators from the Southwest region who answered the telecom giant's call. Awal Yusuf Jibo reports that 510 communities across the country have benefited from various projects.
The telecommunication giant MTN has been operating in Nigeria since 2001. It introduced various empowerment and community-based projects running into hundreds of billions of naira to fulfill its social responsibility to Nigerians. In furtherance of the extension of the company's Milk of Kindness, the What Can We Do Together initiative was inaugurated to encourage the people to be more conscious of their individual power to trigger positive change.
We have asked our communities members to nominate projects that they can see it create value for the local communities.
We've had different sorts of projects from boreholes to transformers, school furniture, a whole range of projects.
Director MTN Foundation Dennis Okoro described the nominators as heroes and heroines who deserve to be celebrated.
Those boys who nominate their community, sometimes it's a youth copper who is working some far away place like Yola and was teaching in a school where children had no seats and desks. And when they get this MTN alert to apply, they apply for the school, not for their home state.
Some of the nominators gave account of their experience.
Most people, they do ignore messages. I want to urge you not to ignore any message you see. Because since that's every message I see on my phone, I do reply.
If all companies that are making profit in the Nigerian economy can follow the lead of what MTN is doing, I feel this Nigeria will be a very great place.
The MTN Foundation was incorporated in 2004 to offer a sustainable and focused channel through which MTN Nigeria will drive its corporate social responsibility initiatives. In Lagos, Awal Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Another contribution from Lagos. Network News continues after this timeout. Please stay tuned.
A very tough guy who knocks out every opponent, but now he's been knocked down by malaria.
Amatem Soft Gel.
Amatem Soft Gel makes treating malaria easy. Amatem Soft Gel is a game changer.
The opponent is down. Amatem Soft Gel are good to combat malaria for body.
Available for adults and children. Say no to malaria. Yes to life.
Son, being good at something requires strength. It requires pushing yourself. It requires putting in more. That's why the new improved Born Vita is packed with vitality and a great taste.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
When busy now today or 4 days when my girls won't come visit and I need to go expire.
Oh, my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand.
Babe, what's happening now? Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my GoTV package.
Now your holla be that. I beg, give me your phone. Look, I show you how you go take do it for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history.
With the corner, Matip is there.
The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now from Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Has succeeded to rule a galaxy of stars from the north, south, east to the west, and central Africa, and also those that are domiciled beyond the shores of Africa under one roof.
After exchanging thoughts on Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) at 30 and the prospects of deposit insurance services in the face of technology-induced financial risks, the corporation settled in to unwind at 8th anniversary dinner. Onengia Fiveace was there.
30 years of protecting the finances of Nigerians deposited in banks. 30 years of protecting banks from financial crisis through effective regulations, and 30 years of building public confidence the financial sector of the nation surely calls for a celebration, and Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) is sparing no expense in celebrating these decades of results-oriented deposit insurance services. Decorations, glamorous apparels, and captivating cultural performances set the tone for a remarkable 30th anniversary celebration for NDIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a night of long speeches, but one to dine and enjoy the company and ambience.
To have had 30 years of huge success, giving us confidence to walk into the bank and put in our hard-earned money. I think they deserve everything we are giving them tonight.
International collaborators joined in sharing the success story of NDIC, curious to learn best practices from its examples in deposit insurance services.
Together, our two organizations will for the development of our deposit insurance system and promote the stability.
Efforts of pioneer staff whose contributions formed the pillars on which NDIC is growing were rewarded. In Abuja, Onengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
Zulay in Kaduna Network Center will now bring us the latest from there. Zulay, you're on.
Good evening and welcome to Kaduna. The more than 38-kilometer Hadejonguru Phase 2 federal project linking Jigawa and Yobe State has formally been handed over to the federal government after 1 year mandatory maintenance by the construction company that handled the project. Mohammed Musa Askira reports that the handing over was done in the presence of stakeholders of the transport sector.
At the cost of about 8 billion naira by the federal government during the previous administration, the 38.8 kilometers Hadeja-Tunguru road could not be completed as stipulated in the contractual agreement due to delays in the release of funds. In line with the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration of continuity, therefore, funds were promptly made available for the continuation of the projects, an effort that made possible the completion of the project in 2017. Before the reconstruction of the road, it was closed for use due to its inaccessibility, particularly during rainy season for years. The completion of the road, which links Nigerian commercial city Kano and Borno through Jigawa and Yobe states, will have economic impacts on the lives of citizens living in the areas.
The job that was awarded to the contractor has been executed, maintained satisfactorily up to this present time. We are now taking our project back, which now the agency responsible for maintaining the road will take over.
Some residents in Guru local government area in Yobe State, where the new road ended, commended the federal government, adding that the reconstruction of the road will spur business activities in the areas. From Dutse, Mohammed Musa Askira, NTA News.
And that's our bit from here. It's back to Kene in Abuja for more on Network News.
Thank you, Zulay. Nigeria is set to compete with technologically advanced nations in the area of science and technology in the nearest future. This is because of the exhibition of some scientific performance of students identified in the ongoing NTA ETV Science and Arts Children Expo 2019. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
Mohammed Tijani Iliasu of the Mutara Adnan Day Science College, Kanu, Oyelowo Ololuwa of ICAST International College of Arts, Science and Technology, Oyo State, and Christian Asha of Government Secondary School, Lafik, Ebonyi State, are upcoming artists and scientists trying to fix the issues of renewable energy, environmental degradation, and waste-to-wealth technology in Nigeria.
Our project is on biogas system for household cooking. It is a source of renewable energy, which is from methane gas. Methane gas is from organic matter, from waste materials like kitchen waste.
We convert slake lime obtained as a byproduct from the manufacture of ethane, that is commonly known as acetylene gas, to caustic soda.
I invented a thermodynamics biogas generator
The generator is beyond generating electricity. It can be used to power other heavy equipment because it uses biogas from cow dung and then palm wine.
For the GMNTA ETV Esosa Ekponwe, the future of Nigeria is bright with young talented scientists across the nation.
You know, some children, they have some hidden talents. This is an avenue for them to come to bed, to bring up what they have in them. If you go around, you see one little girl, from a picture she gets a drawing out of you and looks exactly like you.
Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, was on hand to inspect the children exhibition to boost their morale. In Abuja, Ikechukundukwe, NTA News.
More reports ahead on Network News. Do stay with us.
Achieving zero hunger in the country, games, challenges and prospects is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live. The program at 10:30 p.m. this Tuesday promises to be incisive and informative. Don't miss it.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka. No panic. There's no panic. You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK. Press OK. Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK. Press OK.
Wow! Now you self fit catch all those channels will be one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do, Abi? And I see as I do,
Go TV. Live it. Love it.
Sports update is next. Following victories recorded by Nigeria on the continent and the world in Scrabble, Youth and Development Minister Sunday Dare has vowed to use the sport as a trigger to develop other mind games in the country. The minister re-echoed this when he received 2 trophies from the Nigerian Scrabble Federation team that emerged champions in the just-ended World Scrabble Championships in India.
We'll also bring you into our private funding. We're trying to raise private fund to be able to support our federations.
You try to celebrate your success first while you work towards those challenges that you face before going there.
The Nigeria Referees Association says it is ready for the commencement of 2019-2020 Nigeria Professional Football League season November 3, following the conclusion of a week-long national fitness test for members at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja.
Everybody in the state, they are participating in their local matches. We only now to review them to make sure that they are off date. You know, anything you have to service yourself and prepare yourself for the season.
In golf, the ladies section of IVB International Golf and Country Club Abuja has reaffirmed its dedication to the development of more younger players after handicap 18 player Jumaid Abdullahi won the 20th close tournament.
I want to use this opportunity to call on all Nigerian women to find time to join golfing and also to find time to do some exercise in order to keep fit.
With sports up. The funeral arrangements of Chief John Nayarem Aguiyi Ironsi, last son of the former Nigerian head of state JTU Aguiyi Ironsi, has been announced, aged 54. A statement by the family indicates that on Friday, October 25th, Body leaves Federal Medical Center Umuahia by 8 a.m. for traditional rites at family compound. Thereafter, a requiem mass at St. Teresa's Catholic Church, Afara, by 11 a.m., after which interment follows at Lady V.N. Aguiyi Ironsi's compound, Umwezwere Umwana Ndume. The burial will be rounded off with a Thanksgiving service on Sunday, 26th of October, at St. Teresa's Catholic Church, Afara. And that's NTA Network News tonight. Thanks indeed for watching. My name is Kene Ima Aborike. Good night.
Village. Its history is the history of
5,000 inhabitants that have come together.
Who are the troublemakers? Who are the troublemakers? And who are the people who are not lovers of peace and concord?
Madam ASP, hey, I'm glad to see you here for my bow. I beg you, can help me give you ASP drink? Me, I will pay the money.
Amebo means the favorite wife of a man who has more than one wife. She's the one the man tells everything.
Originally, the program set out to entertain, to take the village headmaster's situation in any of our villages and reveal to everybody the things that went on.
A special documentary on the 50 years anniversary of the iconic drama series, The Village Headmaster, showing on the NTA network service Wednesday, 23rd October 2019 at 8:05 p.m. Watch out.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The new edition of TV Guide is out, exclusively taking a look at the traditional television and new media. Are they comparable or complementary? Media industry players give perspective on the trends, progress, challenges, and the way forward. Find out on this compelling edition TV Guide, expository the characters behind Iyam Dinar, entertainment, sports, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendors near you.
On the water sources system in Nigeria, and also the transboundary rivers that are cut across other countries, including Nigeria. The data use of various activities you can envisage in the water sector, whether for irrigation purposes, to know whether the water is adequate in a river, whether to design a dam, the data you need to do the design, whether for highways, for drainages. They talk about those who drill boreholes. Where does that water occur underground? Some Nigerians are within the coastal areas. We tell you, this place is not proper for you to drill borehole. Talk about saline water issues. So it's a whole lot of things we do in terms of at the long run, all that we do is to give you data for whatever you want to do regarding water sources development in the country.
What about the preservation of the nation's water resources? How is the agency faring?
The agency provides you information as to the rate at which people are supposed to abstract or drill boreholes in some locations in the country. There are areas that are already stressed because of rapidity of abstraction, indiscriminate borehole siting, or run of boreholes. So we try to sound alarm to the nation with regard to those zones in the country, so that there be proper regulation. There's an agency that is on that one anyway for regulation aspects. But for that of letting you know what is available is the mandate of the agency. Then our surface waters too, the movement, where you need to put your dams, where you need to put irrigation structures, what are the things that the options are available. Some of the things we do as an agency to be able to ensure that our water sources, is preserved, whether in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, and then duration, the number of people that need it.
Okay, how accurate are these data that you roll out, every year, especially during rainy season?
Your data can be as accurate as the measuring instrument is, as accurate as it is. Your data is as accurate as the personnel who go to harness the data. So within our limited resources, we have been able to bring out robust, accurate, and reliable data for various uses. And the challenge we have here, I must say it, is that we seem to be more interested in proffering, giving money, providing relief materials when disasters occur. We spend the billions to do that. But the agencies of government that are upstream, who are in the position to see danger when it is coming, like if I have time to talk about flooding, I'll talk about it there. We see it before it occurs. We see it and we predict it and inform the nation ahead of time. And we do it with little or nothing. But once there's a disaster, you see that the billions will be rolled out to provide the relief materials. So it shouldn't be so. There should be a balance in terms of funding the predicting agencies, those who are upstream to talk about disaster, to sound the trumpet before the time. They are equally very important when you compare to the relief agency that will go to the communities and buy trailer loads of indomie and cement and so on.
Okay, well, that leads us to the next question. The provision of this data year in, year out, and the prediction of flooding.
Yes.
What are you doing about it? The issue of flooding, it's a recurrent thing in Nigeria, in spite of your warnings.
Now, it is a global issue. Nigeria is not the only country. It's all over the world. But these days of climate change issues, we emphasize, like we talk about climate, disaster risk reduction. We talk about reducing the reduction. We talk about resilience. We talk about adaptation. In other words, that these things have come to stay. When we are predicting, the essence of it is to warn people ahead of time, so that we can reduce the impact. Instead of losing, like this year, maybe more than 200 people have died. Yeah. 2019, NEMA should have the better record. They take statistics of all those things. You can reduce the impact, loss of life, loss of property. But in terms of stopping it completely, is no.
Why not?
It is a natural phenomenon. So long as the earth remains and rainfall comes, and the ocean melting and so on and so on, iceberg and so on, rather, flood will keep occurring. Like those states in Nigeria that are within the coast, those states, Lagos, Rivers, Bayelsa, and once the ice melts, they will experience coastal flooding, different from the urban flooding and river flooding. So this will continue to occur. We are only advocating for reducing the impact of it. If you tell somebody that your house is going to be carried by flood, or this place is not proper for you to build houses, you don't build it in the first instance. So there will be no loss. Or you have already built it. We tell you move away from here, at least within this social period of time of the year, maybe 3 months. You move away. Even if the building is destroyed, your life is saved.
And your property.
Yeah, yes, these are things we talk about.
Okay. Well, part of your prediction is that about 30 states of the Federation will experience acute flooding this year. Mm. How many have already faced this challenge?
In fact, what we have done is to say how many didn't face it. It was almost 34. I can't count the number now. I can't remember the exact states have gone down or experienced 1 degree of flooding or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean that the whole states were submerged or affected. But when you come to a state and you have about 2-3 local government areas, and you lose maybe 10 persons in that state within the 2 or 3 local government areas that were affected, it's something that you should be worried about. Or you lose some area like, I've wanted to say they mentioned 3,000 hectares of rice lost at Jigawa State. 3,000 hectares of land. Even if they most likely such kind of farmers may not have even insured the agricultural, the things they planted, either with the relevant agencies or maybe NAIC, Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, or other. But even if they were insured, you can. But this they have lost over 3,000 hectares of farmland, rice farm washed away. That 3,000 hectares or those 3,000 hectares, most likely maybe more than 100 people may be involved in that practice there. They have lost the source of livelihood, even if you are paying them back.
It can never be the same.
So the more than 34 states, or at least 34, have been affected, and over 100 local government areas have been affected.
But part of the problem is the release of water from neighboring countries. This happens every year. Must we continue to face this?
You see, you will always try to secure yourself before you secure another person. Now, Nigeria is precariously located at the bottom of a basin. That's what we call Niger Basin. Niger Basin is the basin made up of 9 countries, just as a basin like this, like Washington Basin you have in your house. In it, people that are living there, 9 countries. If on your left-hand side, if you see the River Niger, where it is coming from Nigerian map, it starts from the Futajola Highlands in Guinea-Conakry. It will come down to Mali. It will move down to Niger Republic, then Benin. But before reaching Benin, rivers in Burkina Faso are flowing into River Niger. Those are from Côte d'Ivoire flowing into River Niger. They are coming into Nigeria. Likewise, River Benue from Cameroon, and then Chad. So these are the 9 countries within Nigeria that form Niger Basin, with a land area of 1.5 million square kilometers, 80% of which is within a person's. 130 million people are living inside this basin of 1.5 square kilometers, with a habitat of 130 million. Nigeria having 80% of the population and 30% of the land mass. Now, Nigeria is at the bottom. So whatever is happening in all these countries will eventually move down to Nigeria. No country will allow itself. There's a dam in Cameroon, we call Lado Dam.
Lado Dam.
Yeah. Now, in 2012, that's what caused more problem in Nigeria in 2012. The rainfall there was high. The dam was getting filled up. They alerted Nigeria. The highest point they will reach is 216 meters, the elevation of the reservoir. So it was moving toward that height. They informed Nigeria. We are likely to release water in a week's time, in 7 days' time. But because the height, it was attaining that height, and the reservoir, the dam, was being threatened. 3 days to, they had to open the gate. And then, that was the best that could be done professionally. If they had allowed the dam to breach, to open or even collapse, maybe reasonable percentage of Adamawa State, Kogi, Taraba, and then come down to Kogi State, with other states down to Bayelsa, would have been heavily, much more than what happened. So why must they release water? They must release the water to save their structure. That was why.
At the detriment of Nigerians.
What would they do? What if the dam fails or collapses? If the dam should have collapsed, we are talking about 400 people died in Nigeria. It may rise into millions because the volume of that water is too much. It could cover the entire Abuja. 7.6 billion cubic meters of water should be allowed to move. So what they did was to open their gate a little. Maybe about another 3 meters of water to pass away. So you have to save yourself. Unfortunately for us as a nation, we don't have any single dam on River Benue. When they began to build their own in 1977, which they finished 82, they notified us to build our own, what you may now call a buffer dam. That if in the event of release of water like in 2012, we will block it. Whatever is coming, our own dam, about 15, more than twice the capacity of their own. From the design, we have our own is still in the design.
Let's take a short break at this point. We'll talk more about this issue of Lado Dam, because it's like it's a threat to our livelihood, and there must be a way out of it. Viewer, we'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. The program is still stepping up, and the Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Engineer Clement Inze, is still rubbing minds with us on the program on the way out of the issue of flooding in Nigeria. Yes, now that our own dam is still work in progress.
Yes.
Or the work has not even started at all.
Yes, not yet.
So, what is the fate of Nigerians? Because Lado Dam will continue to be filled up, and Cameroon will continue to open up the gate for the water to reduce. So, what is the fate of Nigerians, especially the ones up north and the ones at the coastal areas?
I was with the Bangladesh ambassador to Nigeria some time ago. He's talking about the issue of flood that took us there, because you know what happened in their own country. He told us that among the nations of the world, I think they are rated number 1 in terms of resilience, adaptation. That is the ability to bounce back after the effect.
Yeah.
I was surprised to hear about a month or so ago that after the flood incident that happened in Jibia, local government area in Katsina, it happened July 15th, around 11 p.m. on a Sunday to Monday 16th, around 1 a.m., barely 2-hour interval of flood, rainfall that caused the flood. That is today, 1,995 persons are still away, either in the camp or yet to get somewhere to go back to. In other words, resilience. Are we able to put this in place for people to, to go continue their life as if nothing had happened before? Now, with regards to the River Benue axis, as far as the River Niger is concerned, we don't really have much problem. For instance, when we got a red alert on the 31st of August this year, that Niamey, what I listed to you, the movement of River Niger, how it is coming. So the measuring station that is in Niamey, Niger Republic, is very critical. So once it got a certain threshold, I was called that we are at a red alert. Nigeria should be prepared. Immediately I called Kainj and Jebel dam operators. They are our colleagues who maybe talking about synergy. That this flood that was seen today, 31st of August, will be arriving KB State. That's the first point. River Niger enters Nigeria from that side. And it may be getting to your dam in about, say, 3 weeks' time, or 26 or 18 days' time. Please be prepared. They know what I told them, they know what to do. So when they were informed, they opened their gates so that water will be flowing gradually, normal water to be moving. Instead of being at a high level, it kept reducing. And they watch every second to size that one that is coming. That one that was seen in Niger, in Niamey, will eventually come. So once it's getting there, they close their gates. So whoever is living downstream, Kwara State, Niger, and so on, may not even know that anything happened. But however, that release that we are doing, the water level will be building. But it won't be compared to that huge one that was coming. So some places may be flooded anyway, but the impact will not be the same thing as that one that was cited on the 31st. So now, what do we do on River Benue? Like I just tried to tell you about the River Niger side, we are a little bit safe.
Yeah.
There are several tributaries of River Benue within Nigeria that the state government could build small dams on them to be able to regulate the amount of water that moves from there into River Benue to reduce the level. Since 2012, Cameroon has never released water. Before they could attain any height that is reasonable for spilling, rain has ceased within their own country. So the flood that happened in 2018, just last year, that submerged so many places in Nigeria, didn't come from outside Nigeria. It was the local rainfall within Nigeria.
And the overflowing of the rivers?
So that's why we say, like in Adamawa, for instance, they could build small dams on Gongola. Okay, that's what Kiri Dam on Gongola River. We have Kashibila Dam on River Kasi. These are tributary river that flow into River Benue. There's a dam there, Kashibila Dam. That one was built to checkmate any eventuality from the Lake Nyos, the poisonous lake in Cameroon, in case it will burst. But it could still be used to check what enters River Benue, since it contributes about 27% of the volume of River Benue. I mean, River Kasinala contributes about 27% of the volume of River Benue. So if we regulate that one properly, it will reduce the volume that enters River Benue. Likewise, other rivers, Donga River, Taraba, River Gongo. So if we can manage what is happening in those areas, it will reduce the volume of water of River Benue. And then with adequate information as we try to give every year, and people planning, this flooding may not, if it occurs, it may not last for more than maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It will come and find it and go away. So if with the information you are given, you can relocate, move to somewhere else and stay. Either with their relatives, state government providing camps. With the time, people will go back to their, maybe ancestral homes and stay.
Okay, in carrying out your functions, how much of collaboration do you engage in with other agencies of government and even your international partners in ensuring that Nigerians are well educated and enlightened on the way out of this yearly occurrence?
As much as possible, we have a lot of synergy with relevant organizations within and outside
Nigeria.
When they come to the area of prediction, we work not to just prediction alone, we work very closely with NIMET, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency. That one is saddled with the prediction of atmospheric issues, amount of rainfall, when will it start, when will it cease. We collaborate with NEMA. We give NEMA information as regular as possible to enable them do their plans, because we tell them the hot spots to watch out. Okay. We collaborate with the NOA that has the
National
spread.
Orientation Agency.
Yes, in terms of dissemination of our information, we collaborate with them. Ministries, a lot of them, and then the states, State Ministry of Environment, State Ministry of Water Resources, we collaborate with them. State Emergency Management Agencies, we collaborate with them. Then at the international level, or even universities, we also collaborate with the Shell in Nigeria. We do certain things together. NIMASA, we do a lot of things together. So we do universities, we do that. Research institutes in Nigeria, we collaborate with them. Then at the international level, we collaborate with UNESCO, which sponsors program on hydrology, what they call International Hydrological Program. And our agency is the desk officer when it comes to that issue of activities that have to do with hydrology under UNESCO. We collaborate with the World Meteorological Organization that has a lot to do also with the hydrometry or hydrological surface water issues. International Atomic Energy Agency in Geneva, we collaborate with them. We collaborate with the Energy Commission of Nigeria, Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission. We do a lot of things together. Okay,
in all this, yes, you have spoken so much about what government needs to do, that is in terms of creation of big dams that could accumulate this water from our neighboring countries when it is being released. What roles do Nigerians have to play?
Clean yourself, clean your environment. Don't throw trash into the gutter or the drainage in front of your house. Especially when the rain is falling and flood is passing here, or runoff is passing, you sweep, it will carry it. Where is it carrying to? It will go somewhere. People should not build, the high and mighty should not go and build structures within the flood plain because they look very greenish and very attractive. You can overlooking some very beautiful scenes. No, don't build within the flood plains. Allow the natural depressions, natural channels created by God that are become more useful during the rainy season. It's how it was created. Don't go and annex it for whatever use. A state government should be able to summon the courage and the political will. Enforce regulation. We have town and urban planning departments or ministries in virtually every state. let them summon the courage of El-Rufai in Abuja and demolish structures. Like here, I learned that the Department of Development Control in Abuja had marked more than 150 houses to be demolished, which are most of these estates, like Lukogoma, Galadimawa, and so on and so forth, that erect havoc a few months back. So these are what should be done. By that, you can avert loss of life and property.
Thank you very much, Engineer Clement Sinze, for being our guest on Stepping Up this week. It's been nice rubbing minds with you and giving an insight to this yearly problem in the country and probably the way out. And I hope Nigerians will heed this advice where we can sleep with our eyes closed during rainy season. On this note, we shall be saying bye-bye on today's edition of Stepping Up. Thank you for being there, watching NTA. Bye for now.
Your information dey important, just like your identity. Na the only way we fit take hala you o. Make you go browse easy.gotvafrica.com. Sign in.
Hello, it's Under Tuesday and welcome to Tuesday Live. My name is Omini Oden. 16th of October 2019 was marked World Food Day with the theme, Our Actions, Our Future, Healthy Diets for a Zero Hunger World. Global attention is on the attainment of zero hunger, and the concern for many is getting it right with agriculture for food sufficiency. It is widely held that Nigeria has diversified agroecological conditions allowing the production of a wide range of agricultural products. There are projections that Nigeria in a few years to come, will join the League of Nations who would be able to feed the world and make zero hunger. The National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services has been in the forefront of achieving zero hunger through activities that include providing feedbacks on field situation and farmers' problems needing research and attention of policymakers for improved research and policy performance. The National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services has conducted the 2019 Wet Season Agricultural Performance Survey for Nigeria, which was successful. What does the data reveal concerning agricultural performance in the country? Answers and more after this background report, put together by Musa Baba Aliyu.
How will you describe a community without access to medical facility, including a pharmacy? The community is vulnerable to outbreak of diseases. And that is the way agriculturists describe a farming community without access to extension services. Agricultural extension is based on information dissemination of new technology and innovation, as well as control of pests and diseases to farmers. It is in the light of these that the World Bank recommends that there should be one extension worker to 800 farmers.
Oh, definitely. It will have a great impact because these days it's knowledge that is driving development. And the more informed the extension workers are, the better they are to inform and guide farmers to use improved technology. And when farmers use improved technology, they will enhance their productivity. And productivity will lead to increased food production.
Investigations indicate that Nigeria is among the few countries around the world with less population of extension service providers to farmers. The reality in most states of the Federation is that one extension officer is saddled with the responsibility of taking care of more than 30,000 farmers against the recommended standard.
ask the government to please establish, go back to that rural farm centers, which will help the extension services. And this thing will encourage us and the ministry to the system of farming. We want to modernize the system, both technologically and otherwise.
The National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, in its recent publication on 2019 West Season Assessment, pointed out the constraints in farming activities without adequate extension service.
One of the things that we are trying to see how we can, improve the issue of e-extension, because it's one area that if we leverage on, I believe we should be able to, deliver extension services more effective.
Mahmoud Sabo Nanonu, who is the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, says government is worried over the shortage of extension service providers in the country. Part of the strategies to close the gap, he says, is to enhance the capacity of agricultural institutions.
The research institution which I have been hammering at are very crucial to the development of agriculture in this country. And it is imperative upon all of us to ensure that not only we make the research institution better, but we make them more effective.
Poor data collection for agricultural activities is another issue that Ahmadu Bello University Zaria is trying to address.
Data is very important for planning. We need to know what we have before we can plan for tomorrow. Today, we have cause to look for data for rice production, for maize production, for wheat production, to see what is the supply and what is the demand to be able to plan to feed our nation and to ensure sustainable food security for this country.
To this end, the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Service has been collating and analyzing data on farming inputs and outputs in the country. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Musa Baba Aliyu's background report sets the tone for the takeoff of the program tonight. It's Tuesday Live, and the focus tonight is towards a zero-hunger Nigeria. While the program is an audience participation program, at some point the lines will be opened, and when you see displayed on the screen, you take your call and we'll put you through. Raise your concerns, ask your questions, and we'll address them. In doing this, please turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the hallback. Also on social media, we shall be doing tweets, and our Twitter handle on the program is @TuesdayLiveNTA. You take your tweets as much as we can within the time limits of the program. Well, tonight I have a full house of experts, and when experts are here, they are really here to address the problem. To my immediate left, to my right, please, I have Professor Mohammed Khalid Othman, Professor of Agricultural Engineering and Executive Director of the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, NILES, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Professor Ibrahim Umar Abubakar, Professor of Agronomy, Institute of Agricultural Research, Zaria. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Professor Garba Sharubutu, Professor of Veterinary Medicine and Acting Executive Secretary, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, Abuja. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And last but not the least, Dr. Andrew Kwasari, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agriculture. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Quickly, from my immediate right, this year's World Food Day focused on our actions are our future healthy diets for a zero-hunger world. How possible is it for Nigeria and indeed the world to achieve a zero-hunger status? Is it possible?
Thank you very much. It's very possible. Firstly, it's quite possible, especially if we really use what it takes. Because one important thing is that agriculture now must actually be done with knowledge. Knowledge is very important, and that with knowledge, one person can produce food for more than 1,000 people. So, for instance, if you look at in South America, we have less than 2.5% of the farmers in that country, and they produce almost more than 20% of the grains of the world. So it is very possible. All we need to do is to sit down and look at the existing technology and then the innovation that have been discovered. And thank God that nowadays the whole world is a global village. Whatever happens anywhere is within a twinkle of an eye. Other people will know about it and can have that knowledge and use it. So we can leverage on that, and it's very, very possible. But we need to work hard.
Okay. How will you describe Nigeria's movement to this destination? Are we heading there or we are about to take off?
Okay, thank you very much.
Zero hunger destination we are looking at.
Nigeria is doing very fairly because today we are the leading producer of cassava in the world. We are the leading producer of yam in the world. We are the leading producer of cowpea in the world. We are the leading producers of sorghum, and we are about self-sufficient, more than 90% sufficient in maize. We are more than 90% sufficient in millet. And as a country, we produce lots and lots of fruits, vegetables, bananas, plantain. We also produce lots of poultry, meat, which is needed for zero hunger. So as a country, we are really doing well. We are really doing well as a country, and I believe if we continue with that trajectory, we are going to have that zero hunger very soon. Because hunger is not just about filling the stomach. You know, there is this hidden hunger, which is lack of essential nutrients that the body needs. And these essential nutrients are vitamins, protein that are critical to the growth of human being. And we can easily get there in Nigeria through, we have a lot of carbohydrates coming from crops. We have lots and lots of protein coming from animal products, and vitamins and minerals coming from fruits and vegetables, and which this country is blessed. You know, Nigeria essentially is an agricultural country. And with the interventions and incentive given by the present government through various government interventions, the country is gradually meeting its demand for food. So we are almost there. Zero hunger, we are almost there.
Okay.
Yes. And the critical aspect of it is actually access. Access and distribution of this food. Food is grown in large quantity in this country, but unfortunately, access to this food is becoming a problem because of, you know, most of the agricultural foods are grown in the rural areas. These rural areas have to be accessible to most of the population that live in urban areas for us to achieve that hunger. And how do we do that? Construction of roads, you know, making amenities in the rural areas such that our youth can actually go to the rural areas and be involved in agriculture. We have large agricultural labor force. We have large number of youths that are willing to go into agriculture, but the conditions have to be made favorable for them. So we're almost there.
Okay. Global competitiveness, large number of youths, one person can feed so many, and all these are primary produce, fruits, vegetables, name it. Can we achieve this with just the hoe and knife, given the huge population in place?
Thank you very much. This is where the whole issue lies. From the contribution of my colleagues here, you will find out that there is a gap. And what is that gap? Taking innovation from the research centers and utilizing them using whatever technology it is by the farmers. This is just the gap that we need to fill. And how do we fill that gap? Number one, do we really have the resources to do that? Yes, we have. Do we have the necessary inputs? Yes, we have. Do we have the political will? Yes, we have. So all the ingredients that is supposed to make us self-sufficient in agriculture is there. All we need to do is to organize ourselves and try to make sure that we play along with these inputs, with these necessary conditions for us to be able to achieve that. There is a growing population, quite all right. But what do we do with the growing population? Is this growing population actually teleguided towards the necessity of life? If the government has the political will, then the will to develop the population now lies with the leadership. Now, leadership you may think is only at the level of a governor, of a local government chairman. No. Parents are the first people you talk about guidance. Like, for example, most of the unfortunate incidences that are happening in this country, they are actually by the youth. And these youths have elders. Do these elders really put these youths aright for them to be able to key into whatever government is doing? That is on one part. On the second part, you will find out that most of us who are seated here are representative of the federal government. To what extent are the state governments keying into what the federal government is doing? To what extent are the local government keying into what the federal government is doing? The disconnect, the lack of common ground for us to be able to pursue some of these things is very, very critical. Then you come to the question of policy somersault. We are very lucky. We are very lucky that when this administration came, they decided not to abandon the agricultural transformation agenda. What they did was to look at the critical gaps that have been established and then decide to fill it using the APP. So if we have consistency in our policy, we'll be able to knit these things together, and before God and man, before you realize it, we are already there.
Okay. But Dr. Wasari has talked about sustainability in terms of the picture of governance, a continuum. But he has identified the gaps and disconnect between the federal, state, and local governments. I remember vividly in my secondary school days, agriculture was a subject, and I know it's a subject, and we used to have sessions where they take us to the farm, and I remember one agri-extension officer then in a community, he had a motorbike. Do we still have that? What policy lines are in place to close up all this to achieve what Professor Garba just said?
Thank you very much. Well, building on what has been said here, I think I will come back to your question about the extension and the policy strategy and the policies of government, and directly reacting to what he said. But the good thing about what we are discussing today, the zero hunger, it's not also an idea that fell down from heaven. It's an idea that it's articulated properly, and it has 5 pillars or steps that every country needs to adopt and follow for the next 11 years, let's say 10 years, because by 2030. So basically, your question is, can Nigeria achieve it? And then what do we need to do to achieve these things? So first thing around the policy of the principle of zero hunger is that we need to deal, number one, with creating social safety net for the poorest of the poor. Every government that have signed on the zero hunger bid, which by the way is the SDG number 2, zero hunger. So it says that first step, how do government invest in removing people out of poverty? About 2 billion poorest people today. How do we move them? And this needs to do with certain policies of government. So for Nigeria, I think already we have the social investment program, and in that social investment program, I think three components are critical for moving the poorest of the poor One is this conditional cash transfer. Second is the national homegrown school feeding. And then the third, I think, is the one around the Empower Youth, but specifically to agriculture is the Empower Agro. How do we knit this together to make sure that the discussion for Nigeria now is that about more than 9 million children are being fed in primary schools today. How do we transit and expand, scale up this homegrown school feeding by turning it into market? Turning it into market can happen on two immediate thought processes. A, can we bring in private capital into it that sell futures and people can invest to feed the children and reap in some gains because of the volatility in prices of commodities or food prices due to our seasonality that our agriculture is dependent on rain. Second thing is that how do we domesticate homegrown school feeding to create immediate market for farmers around the schools where this food are being served? So that is first pillar. Second pillar immediately is how do we deal with supply chain? And my Professor Second to me talked about the need to create the road for
access
farm,
roads.
Yes, from farm. Let me say from farm to market. That's the way the SDG number 2, Zero Hunger, puts it. That we need to domesticate the supply chain. In domesticating the supply chain, every country needs to deal with the supporting productive infrastructure that I talked about, but above all of this infrastructure is linking the food from farm to market, because if you don't do it, then you do not create sustainability, because sustainability means there should be continuous demand. Closely linked to it, the third pillar of the Zero Hunger approach is that we need to deal with food wastages. There are two areas of food wastages or factors or attributes or drivers. At the consumption end, food is wasted, but this is the problem today primarily of the developed countries and the cities, where food waste on our plates, waste in our fridges, waste in our stores, and waste in our supermarkets, and they are thrown around. And a third of food is wasted. But our own back home, Nigeria, the food waste is from farm to the store or to the market, post-harvest losses, wastages before harvest through pests, and different kinds of natural elements like flood and all of that. How do we protect? How do we save food from being wasted? And then there is the issue of sustainable crop varieties according to SDG, according to Zero Hunger, but I would rather go for sustainable agriculture, which means dealing with what Professor said. How do we deal with the kind of research from lab to the farm? What type of food? Are we talking about varieties that need to be introduced, or do we also need to deal with researches that reactivate our old varieties that are used, that we are used to, and therefore deal with agronomic practices that will be more sustainable? Because dependence on inputs also is one of the drivers of poverty among smallholder farmers. And then finally, sir, the fifth pillar of that Zero Hunger move is that how do we deal with the issue of nutrition, or getting the right kind of nutrition in the first 1,000 days of the child. And basically, the first 70 days, 700, 1,000 days, this first 700, 9 months during pregnancy, the mother needs appropriate access to nutritive food. And then the second, the mother still needs, because the child can get better from the milk than any other supplements you can get. So the problem before us, then back to the issue of the extension or whatever, is for Nigeria, a lot has happened, and we are lucky that there is continuity in this administration. So there are plans already and programs that then link this. So we've got the extension deficit. How do we then respond to your question? When you were in primary school, you met this extension guy that was on the bike, what we call block extension or whatever, the basic extension guy that stays in the community or comes and serves the community. Today we don't have them. There is need for funding to fund extension work, and there are two options: whether we can do it from the public funding or explore private sector-led extension service provision. Either way, innovation and technology particularly will drive extension moving forward. In Africa today, countries don't rely up to 30% on contact person to person. you utilize your mobile phone, you utilize even dataless phones, the normal SMS. There are different ways to pass technology information to farmers. But above all, sir, I think what is critical is Nigeria. We just need to build on these gains from agriculture transformation to agriculture promotion policy. Can we, first of all, have a discourse where it becomes a national drive that every state formulates policy that is in tandem with what the federal government is doing? Secondly, sir, move quickly away from policy formulation to policy implementation. I think our biggest problem is not even in the policies. Even at the state level, if you go through, you will find policies that if we implement them today will solve at least 50% of our problem towards zero hunger. So we've got all of this, but as we discuss, we will find a way to arrange. I always tell people, the problem of Nigerian agriculture is that you have 100 building blocks. They are numbered 1 to 100. Your responsibility, our responsibility as a people, as government, is that we must make sure that the first block is laid first, and the second follow, and the third. Because these blocks will come randomly at you, and we can keep on having this conversation.
Well, I caught my public service teach with doing community relations in the rural area, and I used to hear a word called RRA, Rapid Rural Appraisal, and later transformed to Participatory Rural Appraisal. It worked magic. We'll get to that. Now, how will you describe the 2019 wet agriculture season performance survey for Nigeria was successfully conducted by the Nigerian Extension and Research Liaison Services, NILS. What were the major findings? Before you answer, if you're watching the program, it's Tuesday Live, and our focus tonight is towards a zero hunger Nigeria. You can join the conversation at some point. The phone lines will be displayed on the screen, and you put your calls through. We allow you to take your call, make your concerns, and also the tweets. The Twitter handle is at Tuesday Live NTA. So, towards a zero hunger Nigeria, what was this survey, and where will it lead us to?
Thank you very much. The survey actually is to generate data that is on the field. That's agricultural data, because it is very important that we must have enough data that we can now analyze and get necessary information that can help our policy makers. So the agricultural performance will be a major activity of any RLS, and we have been doing that in the last 25 years, and every year we keep on improving and bringing more partners, because the interest of the stakeholders on data is really cannot be overemphasized, especially when we look at it that there is no way you can plan without having reliable data. So to talk about generally the performance of agricultural during this wet season, I will say that generally the productivity has increased over last year.
What parameters were used?
Yeah, we actually use about 3 different tools. We have questionnaire, we have participatory rural appraisals, as you mentioned.
Okay,
we also
PRA?
Yes, we have group discussions with farmers, and then we have also secondary data collection. We actually visited all the EDPs in all the 36 states plus FCT. We also visited all the Ministry of Agriculture, and we also visited all the Ministry of Local Government in all the 36 states, and we collected data on agricultural, input for the season. And we also try to verify or validate the data we collected last year. So because it's a yearly event, so anytime we go, we try to see, okay, because we normally do it during the month of August, September. At that time, some of the crops have already been harvested, some will still be just like now, some of them are still be on the field. So we go back and validate, and then take existing data, and then we also use all the necessary scientific tools to do the analysis and come out with estimates of the data. So, for instance, one of the results that we have gotten is that's a slight increase in the rice production. Estimated, last year during this period, we estimated that it was about 5.8 million metric ton, and this time we submit about 6.1 million metric ton. The same thing with sorghum, maize, cassava. In fact, generally, there were increase of the different crops generally over what we obtained last year, despite series of challenges. But the truth is, a lot of people have come back to the farm. There are a lot of interest that is being generated because of the campaign by the federal government, and also the fact that agriculture, many people have now identified, is one of the trade that can easily go and multiply your investment within a short time.
You just said you visited the states and the local governments.
Yeah.
Fine. Did they just receive you and saw some federal officials come to them, or they really were part of what you came to do?
They are part, actually.
Because he talked about a disconnect, a gap. And most often, like the SSA has said, the policies, you find it working very well, talked about, sustained at the center. You go to the states, there's a disconnect. You go to the local government. Meanwhile, this whole thing can work, because for me, it is clear that agriculture works from bottom up.
So thank you very much. I think what we should now realize is that when you look at the structure, both at the local government and state government, the structure is there in place. You have the EDP. In fact, almost the whole country is divided into cells. And each cell is supposed to be manned by an extension agent. And those extension agents are appointees of the state government. So in most cases, several of them are receiving monthly salary. But the fund for them to do the work is what is lacking. The fund for them to do the work is actually, in fact, one of our findings is that out of the 37 ADVs, about 25 ADVs did not allocate anything. That there was zero allocation up to the month of August for fund for them to be able to do any work. And of course, you see, extension means movement. You cannot do extension just in the office. You must go out, even if you are establishing a demonstration plot, you must go there and see how you can supervise it. You must also work together with the farmers and so on and so forth. And all this requires at least logistics, cost of logistics. You need fuel, if you are going to use a motorcycle, you need fuel. So, but unfortunately, most of our state governments are not releasing the necessary fund for these ADVs to work. They don't mind paying their salary, but for them to work is something else. So what I'm saying, so what we do is that when we go there, because we know this problem exists already, so we have to prepare to go there with our fund. Okay, you are there, and okay, let us now fund it. So whatever we did it participatory, because even at the end of April, the survey, we do what you call wrap-up. We come down and say, okay, we have gone this place, we have gone that, and we have found this and that and that. Let's now discuss it together with you as a preliminary result. So if there's any objection to what data that we have maybe gotten somewhere, then it is up to you to tell us. And at the same time, also use observation, because I want you to understand that this survey is being conducted by more than 21 different agencies, both federal and international development agencies, because almost every stakeholder in agriculture is interested in what we are doing.
Okay. So much resources have been deployed, and he has sustained a position which Prof said he has tried to give us the policy direction. Now, if the modules, after the survey, we deploy modules to go to the field, and those modules are not adaptable to us, because most times we have agricultural development projects, not program now, funded from somewhere, and they come with modules that are not adaptable to the Nigerian condition. Will it work?
Yeah, actually, you see, in extension, we started with TMV, which is training and visit, We train extension agents to make them demonstrate technologies from the research institutes. And later, we had the IR4D, Integrated Agricultural Research for Development. We have many of these models, but to be frank, the best model, to the best of my ability, is the TMV
that we actually abandon now.
Is it indigenous?
It's not indigenous, but it's adaptable.
Okay.
You can bring a technology and adapt it to your conditions. I remember when I was a young child, we used to have these village extension officers that would demonstrate proving research output to farmers by the roadside, new varieties, new agronomic practices, and so on. And farmers would take interest. By the time a farmer sees an improved technology over his, they say seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. But unfortunately, extension is at a very low ebb due to low investment.
How do we jack it up?
We have to increase investment on extension. There was a time I was just sitting and thinking aloud. I say, why can't we do to extension what we have done to education through the UBE? We have this universal basic education where the federal government put a chunk of money for education, but every state will have to make a contribution before they can access that money. We can do similar thing to extension, for example. We have a national body that the federal government will put a chunk of money, and every state, for you to access this money, you have to contribute. And that way we'll be able to fund the so-called comatose agricultural development projects.
Okay, let's take a couple of tweets. The convention has begun now.
Yeah.
A couple of tweets have come in. Let me take the first one. The Republic Online. The time has come for Nigerians to support the current administration to ensure that food security to achieve zero hunger in our country. This government has shown enough political will to diversify the economy to make for self-reliance in food production. If they then, he left it there, that's one. The next one says, Tuesday Live is very informative. I salute the panelists, that's all of you. We must feed the nation by ourselves. Yes, we can. That came from Bed to Kui. The next one is Sanyovo. Please, I leave that to you, sir. What really do the panelists mean by saying that we are closer to zero hunger in Nigeria? Is it in terms of access to food or affordability? And they are claimed countrywide or for specific areas. Then the last one here for now, I leave that to you, sir. The border closure is the best. The Nigerian farmer should use this opportunity to revitalize agriculture in the country. They should also consider the price of rice and other commodities. That came from Abdulhamid Ali Balogun. So let's start it from you.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, when you were going through the tweets, yes, there are those that were supporting, but there are those that were putting the question in terms of doubt.
And we are sure they will address the
exactly.
question.
Yeah. So the point here is this. Let us take the doubting Thomases. We are always quick to accept whatever information comes from foreign assessors. When Amnesty, Transparency International says Nigeria is the poorest country, everybody will jump at it. We are poor, we are poor. But when the Nigerian agency comes out to say this is the situation we are, we begin to interpret it in a different way altogether. So I think we have to do that. See, this issue of evaluation of the performance is not a one-day thing. It was not something that started today. Perhaps people must know that in the first instance, you must have a draft of your template, work upon it, test run it, criticize it, before you actually go and compare it to what happens in other sectors internationally.
Okay, let's take this call. Our first caller is on tonight. Okay. Our first caller is Abdul Rashid and he's calling from Kano. Hello, Abdul Rashid. Welcome to Tuesday Live.
If you're hearing me, let me just go straight to the point.
Go ahead, straight. We're hearing you.
I understand there is a strong political will from the side of the government. But that political will, I think, will not suffice. What is most important is for the government to understand that there is a need for more funding to extension services. There is a need for more funding to improve input and technology and there is a need for more support and collaboration with international donor agencies so that they can reach out to farmers, they can reach out to those that need actual training. So that is what I actually want to suggest, that the government should do more in identifying those that can support them in funding the extension services and also access to technology and innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abdul Rashid. You conclude. Maybe respond to what he said.
What I am saying here is this. You want to go towards zero hunger. Now, you have the doubting Thomases. At the same time, you have to ask yourself, who will actually be the front runners in terms of the provision of the food? They are the farmers. Have we ever asked ourselves who is a farmer? What is the definition of a farmer in the Nigerian context? There seems to be no definition. If I, for example, decide to go by my backyard and farm maybe a small, portion of land and grow maize there or grow vegetable, do you call me a farmer? So even if you are ready to provide the necessary inputs, how to even identify the farmer in itself is a problem. So, and that's the more reason why the emphasis on extension is very important, because it's only the extension worker that will identify who the real farmer is.
And Abdul Rashid talked about it deeply.
Exactly.
The last caller.
So you must identify who the real farmer is for you to be able to, and that is exactly the work of these annual evaluation performance.
Okay. Let me take on, but you have to respond to the last tweet there.
Yes.
The border closure is the best.
Yes. Yeah. So, you see, the border closure towards increasing domestic or local productivity. So, every government has to take certain course of action. And this, as the tweet says, gives opportunity for increasing our domestic production so that we can work it out for ourselves and grow the food we eat, which is correct. But let me tell you, we need all of it. So one part of it is the border closure, which gives opportunity for local farmers to grow more food, create more market. However, this is a whole chain. We then need to tie in all of the other things that my colleagues say. For instance, who is a farmer? I think if you ask me today, what's the most important question for Nigerian agriculture? I will tell you, with all the good work the Institute is doing on annual survey of forecasting productivity and all of that, I will say the most important question is, how do we identify, enumerate, document, how do we generate comprehensive data of who a farmer is, where does he live, what does he grow, what is the size of his farm? Simply put, sir, we need to generate agri-asset data. Okay. And this agricultural asset data starts first by who the farmer is. And Nigeria can do this. And until and unless we do that, all of this, including what Abdul Rashid said, increasing funding to extension work, increasing funding to fund input, will amount to nothing. Some people have said even subsidy or...
So can we take this caller from Enugu? We haven't that caller.
I'll come back immediately.
Yeah, we'll do that, please. Adams is calling from Enugu. Hello, Adams. You're on to Tuesday Live. Oh, we lost that call. Please conclude.
So, if, sir, you do not know who you are planning for, targeting is as important. Today we talk about precision agriculture, knowledge-driven agriculture, all of this. These are built on back of verifiable data of farmers, their farmland, what they grow, and what type of infrastructure, therefore, will be pulled in to support, enhance their productivity. How will we link them to market? How will we link them to processors or value addition people? What are all of this? So if today we really want to talk about how do we solve the problem in Nigeria, we should solve the problem of data. And this data it is not even the survey that is happening now. This survey forecasts for us what is going on the field. Does it come down to say who is going on this field? Do we have his biometrics? Can we zoom onto his field? Today the whole world on Google Map has coordinates. And sir, I was having this conversation with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture only today. And do you know how we concluded? We concluded that the easiest thing to do is to teach how farmers could adopt technology. And it's just by doing what all of them said. We had demonstration plots where before the extension worker that comes to the village didn't speak the language of the villagers. But he comes in whichever way he communicates and gets a portion of land. And he carries out his own method without telling anybody to adopt. By the next season, farmers are rushing to adopt what he has demonstrated. So, for us to do that today, we need to know exactly where the farmers are. And sir, the delivering on the government priority 2019-2020 of the current administration has it clearly in the priority of government to register at least 18 million farmers. And that has to happen. If we don't have farmer data, all of our planning, subsidy will just be another scam, sir. Okay. I have been in this administration advising for the first tenure and I'm in it again. And I knew what we made when we saw GS. People claim that government owed them over 6 billion, no, over 60-something billion naira.
I'll take on you to conclude. Let's take this caller from Calabar. Joseph is calling in from Calabar. Hello, Joseph. You're on to Tuesday Live. Hello?
The issue of border procurement.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
It's a good development to encourage our local farmers.
Hello, Joseph.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, please.
Yeah, I'm Joseph calling from Calabar.
Go ahead.
I think this is my first time of listening to this program, and it's a good program. But the speaker there, Mr. Andrew, the SSA to the president on agric, he does make mention of border closure and how to encourage our local farmer. It's a good, but what are the policy put in place by the government to control the local farmer in the market? For example, I went to the market on Saturday to get the rice, and I said, let me patronize my rice, the local rice. And I was surprised that the local rice in Mudu was 1,001 and the foreign rice 1,250. So I don't think there was a difference in foreign and local rice. So a government has to put a policy in place to control this local produce. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Maybe you conclude.
Thank you, Joseph. And I agree with you, Joseph. And that's where we are going. That the policies, I mean, all of them, they are linked. So one aspect of it is border closure. The other aspect of it is that what we need to do to take advantage of border closure. One, we need to know who our farmers are. Two, we need to target them with specific intervention that will increase productivity. Second, we need to link them to market. Third, we need to create affordable financing. All of these, link it to market, access to inputs, which is tied to access to finance, extension service delivery. All of this will not work until we know who the farmer is, where the farmer resides, what he does, and what are his problems. So first and foremost, sir, that is our number one building block to move forward.
I love, you know what, if you go to my Twitter handle, one of the things I say I say I'm a farmer. But I'm in Abuja.
Yeah.
So where's the farm?
That's why the question of who is a farmer.
Yeah. Fundamentally, they took the few calls we have received hinged on one thing.
Yeah.
I can still do budding, and I learned it from the extension lessons we got as agricultural students in the secondary school.
Young Farmers Club.
Beautiful, not really young. Agricultural science, we used to have a young farmers club. Now, towards zero hunger, what really, if I say now, do we have a collegiate of young agricultural graduates, maybe crop science, animal science, agri economy, on the field doing extension services? Do we have them?
Thank you very much for this. I think, yes, we have one. There's AGAN.
And they are passionate about it?
AGAN is Agricultural Graduate of Nigeria. Agricultural Graduate Association of Nigeria, AGAN. And we have even partnered with them as an institute, that's NRLS. We signed an agreement with them, MOU, and we have been working together. And I think in Niger, where the headquarters is, the president is, I believe this year they are targeting to cultivate about 10,000 hectares of rice. So, and they are also involved in the project that we are running in Niger and Kaduna State. What the Dr. Andrew said about the farmers, training the farmers, this is one of the things that any less we think when we thought out of the box, say, okay, this is now, we cannot make state governments to fund their own, employees, because we don't have that power. Second, what do you do? So we now develop what is called community-based advisors. Community-based advisors are farmers first and foremost, and they're enlightened farmers, and we were elected and we're training them, because the issue of extension, actually disseminating technology to farmers, doesn't mean that the farmer must be literate. What is important is that you have to pass message, and that message, even if it means that translating that message in his language, in the language you understand. So that means that you can train farmers, and currently, as I'm talking to you, NLS is involved in training over 1,000 community-based advisors in Niger and Kaduna under Agra projects. And the target is to have trained or to increase the productivity of 360,000 farmers.
So I asked this question. Yeah. Now you find a young graduate.
Yeah. Let me say this.
Okay.
I don't know whether after the World Food Day, a day after the World Food Day, that was on Thursday specifically.
Yes.
The Vice President, Professor was in Nasarawa State to do exactly what you are asking. A group of young people, I cannot remember the name of it, it's over the television.
Some ex
Yes, they organized themselves together, got a plot of land, and you can imagine the degree of productivity that is coming out of that place. The purpose of the safety valves, this social security valve, introducing the N-Power predominantly. They were all young people who have graduated, they don't have jobs to do. They are all over the place. Some state government actually also encourage this type of thing. Like, for example, in Plateau State, you have, bringing in people under the name of ad hoc extension workers, but with a condition that mandatory they must open up their own farms. So there are a lot of programs that this government is actually putting in place for the benefit of individuals.
That leads me to the next question. Let's take this caller from Delta State. Kelvin. Hello, Kelvin. Hello, Kelvin. You're on to Tuesday Live.
And additionally,
okay, fine.
Yes, I want to shed a light on that definition of farmer. Let me digress a little. You see, a farmer is not just about primary production.
Of course.
We are talking about encouraging youths to go into agriculture, and that means encompassing all the value chain of agriculture. A marketer of agricultural produce is a farmer. So if biometric of farmers are to be taken, the primary producer, the processor, the marketer, the service providers, different kinds of service providers. Somebody may not be a farmer, but he's a sprayer.
Yes.
Farmer will require his service to go and spray herbicide or insecticide. He's a farmer. He is participating in the value chain of agriculture. So truly, and that is the only way we can actually encourage our so-called youths. Our youths are running away from the rural areas. One of the ways of encouraging them to be in agriculture is actually to engage them in these value chains. Today, our youths are technology youths.
Service provision.
They are urbanites.
Okay, value chain without funding, will it work? Value chain without adequate funding?
Well, the safety nets that they are talking about, the intervention of government, can provide some kind of credit at low interest rate for these people to be engaged in agriculture. Because if you think primary production alone is the solution, you are making a mistake.
But let me say something about this funding.
Okay. Yes.
You see, I don't know whether Nigerians are really very inquisitive to know what is happening. Like, for example, the whole budget of this country is on the net. You can enter into the net and try to see the quantum of money that is being pumped, either as constituency projects, for training of young ones. You see all forms of things. Most of these.
Let me add some information here. A tweet from Yomi Bishola. Extension is truly good, but there is need to work on who buys the harvest.
Yeah,
there's always glut in farm products.
Yes.
Off-taker should be available to ensure sustainable agricultural production. Yomi Bishola.
And that is the weakest link.
Yeah, Thank God says agricultural extension is a major deficiency in the agricultural sector. Why can't a graduate of agricultural extension or rural sociology be automatically employed just like those in the medical and health profession? Okay.
Sir, no, you see this is a wrong notion.
That is a wrong.
Even in medicine, you're not automatically. Okay. So the issue of automatic employment, we have to begin to have a rethink over the issue of automatic. I come from the veterinary profession. There was a time in this country, immediately you graduate as a veterinary doctor, you are given automatic employment. It's no more obtainable. There are times when doctors, immediately you graduate, you have a car and everything, and we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again. And that's the more reason why creating job that the government is not talking about. It's not talking about salary payment. A job, a white-collar job that you go and sit in the office. No.
I'll allow you. Let's take this call from Isa. Isa is calling from Kebbi. Hello, Isa. Oh, Kaduna. Hello, Isa is calling from Kaduna. Hello, Isa. Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening. We can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm a passionate agriculturist. That's what the father, that's not my calling. Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm calling from Kaduna.
Go ahead, Isa. We can hear you.
Because of the federal government incentives in agriculture. All right. So I joined a cooperative in Kaduna here.
Okay. Isa, can you go ahead, please?
So I joined a cooperative society in Kaduna.
Well, Isa, please let's complete.
For me to have access to funds to farm.
Isa, I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Sir, you know, I said these building blocks are numbered. The first block has to be laid before the second block. So people can get concerned about linkage to market, value addition, logistics, and all of that. All of that will fall in place once we can identify the primary producers and target them with the right kind of incentives to enhance productivity. Because it's on them. First of all, when you know who is the primary farmer and where does he do his farm, because all of primary productivity is land-based. That means it's static in one location. You need to identify that exact spot.
But do you agree with Dr.
I agree with him.
Line?
Yes,
everybody.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a chain.
It's a chain.
What I'm saying is that if we make a mistake, and I would say this to Nigerians to hear, when the GS was running in Agric, the growth enhancement scheme services.
Yes.
People left $67 billion in naira indebtedness to government that they supplied inputs to farmers. We came in, we had data of 10 point something million farmers or data of people that they were farmers. It took us 2 years working with NIMSI to validate if these people are farmers. Spent money on it. We could not get 300,000 out of 10 million database. So what I'm saying is that people, the other players along the chain, input suppliers have delivered, according to them, inputs to these farmers. But nobody knows who these farmers are, and government has to pay. So the leakages you create along the chain once you do not get the right block of knowing who a farmer is, and therefore you build targeting on him, the incentives you want around credit, the linkage to market is him, his primary product that you need to link with a logistic guy. The guy that you want to target to spray, to provide agricultural services. The federal government today is talking about creating service centers across each local government to provide services to farmers, to sell services. But this will only happen on the back of identifiable, verifiable farmer data. And this is the easiest thing we have to do now. And the administration just has to do it. Because we have this Empower Agro Youth, they are 100,000 and counting. They are good for nothing. You know why I say good for nothing? Or they are best. Let me say they are not good for nothing. They are best for data collection. Because some of them have devices. Federal government gives them 30,000 today. This same institution with myself, Federal Minister of Agriculture, develop and train them. The initial training, I think, is 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks training.
2 weeks training.
2 weeks training, just to integrate it into their communities. But they are sitting there. We have piloted in Jigawa, over 300,000 farmers registered. We've piloted in Jigawa, Bauchi, Anambra, Delta, and Ogun. Today we have, I can tell you, we have over 600,000 identifiable farmers in this state. Sir, it costs only 100 naira to get these young people to go out there and profile a farmer. We need to spend, if there's any investment federal government must make, is to complete that work together with the state government. But for me, if state government is not ready, federal government just needs to generate their data. Know who your farmers are. Okay. It will become very useful for every other thing you want to do along the chain.
When we return on the second leg, we'll go back to what the Institute is doing. The focus, once again, is towards a zero hunger Nigeria and a bigger picture, the world. The convention is for everyone, and if to be part of it, our Twitter handle is at Tuesday Live NTA. We also have the Farmers Helpline 081 3989 0090. You could make your calls and make your inquiries even after this program. It's Tuesday Live tonight. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
When you think about hospitality and affordable luxury away from home, then you talk about Sharon Ultimate Hotels, a secured and serene environment that offers kingly services such as 24-hour room service, impeccable security with CCTV surveillance, parking lots, free Wi-Fi internet service, free complimentary breakfast, restaurants that offers continental and local dishes, well-equipped fitness center with instructors, swimming pool, 350 capacity multipurpose hall, laundry service, pastry corner, mini mart, and our suites are breathtaking. For reservation, locate us at plot 1710, Tafawa Balewa Way, Area 3, Garikia, Abuja. Sharon Ultimate Hotels, the ultimate place.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture bring on this message.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Very well, the conversation continues. Our Twitter handle is @TuesdayLiveNTA, and the focus once again is towards zero hunger in Nigeria. A lot of issues have been raised, and fundamentally, before we went on break, extension services has been identified. Who is a farmer? We hear on the value chain, everybody is a farmer. The off-taker, the producer, the pesticide, right? Now, moving on. There's some kind of generational gap in farming. If you look at it critically, if you look at a typical rural farmer, is there middle age? And if we're looking at towards achieving zero hunger in Nigeria, if we don't close up this gap, like I said before we went on break, where are the extension officers? Where are the animal, those with the animal science, crop science, all that? If we don't have them go to the field, what happens?
Yeah, this is very, very, very important. Yeah. Okay, where are they?
Where are they?
Yes.
How do we get them?
Good.
Without funding? Would they come out? Like you said.
Can I give you an answer? Yes.
Okay. No, let me start with this.
Yes. So you see,
I'll come to you.
Yes. The most important thing is that first is we need to have more investment generally, because I want you to know that Nigeria being one of the countries of Africa, we signed the Maputo and declaration which says we should continue to increase our budget investment in agriculture in budget up to 10%. And in the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think, in fact, the last 10 years, there was no even state government that has invested up to 5% of their budget. And not only investment, that is the budget, but you see, the release of that budget is another thing. But of course, you can give government, especially federal government, credit for what it has been doing. But when you talk about state governments and local government, because I want you to know that 774 local government, there are 774 Department of Agriculture at the local government level. And in each of these departments, you have people that are employed as workers of that department. What's happening? What are they doing? So that's one hand. Second, of course, you talk about the issue of the age of farmers. Yes, the average age of farmers in Nigeria from the last 5 years is ranging between 47 to 48. What it means is that the youths are not coming. Okay, why are they not coming? We know the issue of farming in the traditional way, using hoe and cutlass. Nobody wants to go and bend down. So we need to bring in the mechanization. The mechanization level of Nigeria is very low. Then that is what is making agriculture unattractive to the youth. So first is we need to deliberately, as a nation, promote appropriate technology, because there are a lot of technology that are in existence. There are a lot. But most of these technologies are on shelf. They are not being utilized. And we continue to rely on tractorization. But forgetting that our farming system is peasantry, whereby the average land holding is less than 1 hectare. So this is one issue. For us to be able to make agriculture attractive, then we must use knowledge, and we must also invest and make agriculture to be a business. When you're talking about business, it means that you are farming to make profits. So that has to happen so that we can bring in more people on board.
Okay, Professor. Okay, let me go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, like my colleague just said, farming population is aging.
Aging?
Yes, aging very rapidly. The youths are no longer interested in agriculture. We have to contend with that situation in the universities. Every year, when we do admission exercises, we have to scout for candidates for medicine, particularly medicine, to take them to agric to get medicine, which are directly involved in production. So how do we solve this problem? Mechanization is one of the ways. And because of the small land holding, we have to cluster them together. Cluster these farmers together so that you can have a reasonable size of farms that you can put into mechanization. And our youths today are technology youths. They are driven by technology. We have to really forget about hoe and cutlasses to make progress and to be able to attract youths into agriculture. And also we have to let this youth know that agriculture is not just about primary production, like I said. There are lots and lots of employment along the value chain of any agricultural crop.
You conclude on that?
Yes.
Let's take this caller from Imo State. Chamberlain. Hello, Chamberlain. Hello. Hello, Chamberlain. You're on to Tuesday Live.
Let me go straight to the point.
Go straight to the point. Thank you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello? Hello? I can hear you.
Call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, let me go straight to the point.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
I love what Professor said concerning the issue of our youth. So we talk about the youths of Nigeria being more of technologically advanced. And we should know that when we talk about zero hunger, there are 3 tripod points of zero hunger. You talk about production of food, you talk about storage of food, and you talk about accessibility, which includes marketing, which includes funding, and all the rest of it. If these tripod points are not being achieved in the zero hunger project, all we are doing is just media procrastination. The major problem problem Nigeria has on agriculture is implementation. Not even in agriculture, in so many things. Do you understand? The special advisor to the president made a point. He said that he talked more about continuity. There was this national storage project that was led by late former President Abuja in his 7-point agenda concerning agriculture. He built a storage cart unit in all the states, even in my state and State, in a place called Okibo is there. But it's been abandoned. There's no funding, there is no continuation of the project. It's been abandoned. So projects like that are the projects that can really facilitate this agenda that we're talking about here. Yes, President Buhari has really invested in continuity so much, like in rail, not only in agriculture, even in rails and too many other things. But there are still other areas in that sector which we haven't captured. Like we have two types of farmers in Nigeria, the traditional farmers and the business farmers. These traditional farmers are most illiterate. They don't have access to funding, they don't have access to good education. All these information we are sharing here on Tuesday Live and all, they don't know about it. They are sleeping in their rooms now. So how do we access to those people? How do we empower those people? I am an agriculturist as well. I was meant to be part of this training that was going on in Zaria now, but unfortunately I couldn't get a slot. The people who went there, they are meant to be given 500,000 according to after the training. Right now, some of them finished their first batch of training. They are back. They gave them only 20,000 with a whole lot of experience. So how can they drive? How can they move on? So how can we achieve zero hunger without putting all these things, capturing all these things in place? If maybe the government, maybe from the way they are operating, they can't really reach to the grassroots. So they can consult people like us. We'll help you. We'll give you a project plan, how you can reach out to the grassroots, how you can tap into the real farmers. We keep saying that we don't know that we need to get them. They are everywhere in Nigeria, but they don't have access to all these things that we are talking about. So if we cannot be able to empower those areas, we cannot be able to achieve this. We can only be talking about it every day, and that will remain a television procrastination. So I think we should look into this, and each and every one of us as well, to ask ourselves what our own contribution towards farming, because the people here, I believe, knows more about agriculture, are more like principal players in agriculture. So what are their own inputs in agriculture? How many people have they empowered in agriculture on their own?
Thank you,
with
Chamberlain.
their own offices, as they are all sitting here.
Chamberlain, there's a helpline from National Farmers Helpline. If you can hear me, the National Farmers Helpline is here. If you have other inputs, that's the most you can take. But for the benefit of you sustaining what you raised, you can take this number. National Farmers Helpline is on the screen, 081-3989-0090. Connect with that line and you can get a lot of your input put through and attended to. Yes. So you heard what Chamberlain said. He raised fundamental issues.
I want to
conclude.
Okay. You see, for you to attract youths into agriculture, you have to make agriculture attractive. I had some people, I overheard people say, today agricultural production is nothing but slavery. Slavery. Because of low yields. That means deliberately there should be deliberate attempt to invest on research so that high yielding varieties and breeds of animals can be released to farmers so that these youths will now be attractive. For example, agriculture can be attractive to these youths. You have situations where farmers get average yield of maybe 1 to 2 tons per hectare. At the end of the day, if he calculates his inputs and other, management into the production, he's not making any profit. That is even excluding his own labor. Most farmers do not access their labor, the labor and that of their family. So there should be deliberate effort by government to invest on research so that high-yielding varieties that are resistant to biotic and abiotic stresses of this country are released to the farmers to make farming profitable.
Okay. Let's hear you.
In fact, I'm eager to...
you'll address Chamberlain's...
Yes. Chamberlain. See, well, he concluded by throwing a challenge. Most of us are farmers. And what I'm going to talk about is also very, very critical, because you asked this question, where are the youths? I mean, they are in the cities.
Yeah.
They are in the towns, because that is where government feels they can develop. Let me tell you this. When I said we can interplay with some of these factors and achieve zero hunger, I really mean business there. While I am sitting here, to be factual, I will not allow my son to go back to that rural area where there is no water, there is no light, there is no road, there is no conducive environment for him to stay. Because we have deliberately decided to show productivity, to show that we are a government. We build all the infrastructure within the town. Productivity is in the village. If we are really very serious, whether it is high input or tractorization or whatever it is, go and make sure that the environment in the rural area is made conducive for people to stay there. There is serious urban migration, rural to urban migration. And I'm telling you this, some of us, I set example myself so that I will not be selfish, with humility. Some of us have over 200 hectares of land with 6-7 children whom we will never allow them to go back to the village and go and stay. So where do you expect the rural person? Now, if you get to the village and by accident anybody comes to the town, he remains there in the town. So if you are looking for the youth, they're in the cities. No. So you must have a deliberate, policy of making sure that the rural areas are well developed. You can see what is happening with some of these kidnappers and herdsmen, because they know the use of handset. If you go to the bush, they know how to play record there. They play sound system there and all these things. So there is no way we are going to attract this youth if we do not make the rural area conducive for them to go and stay there and farm.
Yeah. Okay. Chamberlain raised the issue of implementation.
Yes.
Abandonment of initiatives.
Yes.
Business, traditional farmers.
Yes. So he calls them traditional farmers. I call them the smallholder farmers, which is the right kind of way, because they could also be a young person with a small piece of land. So let me paint a picture. Let me draw some analogies that will help us understand. First and foremost, the abandonment of some of these projects, like the one he mentioned about the warehouses and silos and whatever. With hindsight, or with what we know now, it may even be better that some of these projects were abandoned, because if they were built without who owns them, how do you make them viable? How do they support, how do they play their appropriate role along the value chain? So management of these silos that were built, was it meant to be for government, or it was meant to be managed by private sector businessmen that know how to make use of grain business and grain trading and all of that? So there are certain projects that were done in the past that were built with the mentality that government just needs to do them as a developmental or political interventions. So I think government is on the right track, because they are privatizing or they are concessioning these silos today. So they are not abandoned, and I'm sure they've started in the first administration of Mahmoud Buhari, and they are continuing with it. So we just need to get them out to people that can run them and manage them properly. But Baksa, on the issue of how we attract the youth into agriculture, it's a mix of many things, and I'm going to try to identify three of these. One is the issue of technology. Today, the young people in Nigeria are not interested in agriculture serving as jobs where government will employ them or state government employs them as staff of agriculture ministry. That's not what they are looking for. They are looking for where they can come in and do businesses along the value chain of agriculture. Therefore, sir, the type of spending or how government spends our own money to showcase these opportunities for the young people becomes more important. And this will be done in supporting two kinds of infrastructure. Soft infrastructure, which again I go back to the data of where the primary productivities happen so that the young people can know how to link it to market and off-take it and blah, blah, blah. And then hard infrastructure. How do we identify and build rural roads only where there is data that supports that it will be profitable for evacuation or for bringing in inputs or for easing the businesses of farm productivity? How do we deal with the infrastructure of power? What type of power do we need for a particular area that becomes a project? But second block in this is coordination. The federal government and state government must today continue with the processes that they've started. A coordinated approach. Maybe it's not happening at the scale the way we want it. And what I want to say as coordination is that we hear a lot of development partners or programs that come in. And people sit in wherever they are coming from. And they come into Nigeria with a program already designed, ready to implement. But it's not their fault. If we had a coordinating unit that has at all points 20 or 30 projects in the pipeline that have been designed by Nigerians in terms with the needs of Nigeria, you will see how the young people can find these opportunities within these market creating or market enabling interventions that government will do in line with our needs, the needs of developing the value chain. I give you a good example, sir. Nigeria will soon be rolling out the Green Imperative. It took 4 years to finalize this plan in conjunction with the Brazilian government. What it will do, it will approach mechanization in a different way. Because mechanization that has been going on is government buying tractors and either reselling to farmers or giving out to their own friends and all of that. And even today I hear state governors still buying tractors. Let me tell you, no smallholder farmer, 80 to 85% of our farmers are smallholder, has any desire or business on owning a tractor. All they are concerned about is that how can I buy a service when I need it? And this is the type of opportunities that young people would like to play in. And sir, we have examples. Look at Tofan in Zaria. Tofan started with 9 tractors. Do you know what fleet they are managing today? Over 500 tractors. Selling mechanization services to farmers. Just call and they will farm your half hectare, your quarter hectare. And it has nothing to do, I like the clustering that Prof said, but it's not clustering to create the land on a vast land. Everybody should have his small piece of land. If you have quarter hectare,
maintain your
1
land,
acre,
but cluster
have
for
it,
mechanization.
but let it be identified. The guy that sells services to you will come and provide the services you need and you pay for it. And what Nigeria has designed now, and very soon the Minister of Agriculture will be out and announcing this, is that it has been launched already by the Vice President, so it's just to implement now, is that every local government, federal government will be able to enable an entrepreneur to buy a set of equipment for either value addition processing or for primary production and own it as a service center and can provide services to as many as 2,000 households of smallholder farmers without concern. A tractor needs to do approximately about 400 hectares if you are to buy it and use it to pay the money for buying it. So when I see someone with 10 hectares of land, 20 hectares of land because he knows a permanent secretary somewhere and he has a tractor, it's just waste. They are just wasteful assets. But we have models in Nigeria and young people are driving this model. You heard of Farm Crowdy, you heard of Hello Tractors, the Tofan Nanladi and his people, Towan, and all of that. They are all over there. So what we need, a more coordinated approach. Nigeria, I have learned working on government on this Green Imperative project that it took 4 years to finalize this project, to understand how the best way to turn it out so that it enables the market of value addition and service provision.
Okay.
If you just continue in that way without proper coordination, without getting the best brains to sit down and think through how government should spend every dime, and for every dime government spends, should be able to show opportunity for a private investor to take advantage of, and that is when we begin to attract these young people.
Okay. The National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, under normal circumstance, can we link it with what you're doing with research, and at the end of it, you don't put the research in the drawer and put it away?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I want you to look at the agricultural expansion value chain, where technology are being generated by the research institute at the upstream level, and then at the downstream level where the farmers are using such technologies. So in between, we have the National Agricultural Research Institute, and presently we have 17 that are under federal government, and all of them have mandates for genetic improvement of different agricultural commodities of the place they are located, as well as also improve the farming system of the ecology where their offices are. NLS has a role of, one, taking such technology, validate technology, package it, and disseminate. We disseminate this technology in different forms, through publications, through electronic means, by going to television, radio, and broadcast, and then through training. We do a lot of training.
Do you also have a website?
Yes, we have a website, a very robust, very dynamic website that almost every day we update it. We have several publications on the website where people can easily access, download, and use the technology. And such publication, we have bulletin, we have guide of different communities and different practices. And then recently, because of the problem we have realized of, the ratio of extension agent and farm family, that we have already said we have, one extension agent to about 30,000 farmers, which is practically impossible. Even if funds are available to such person, he cannot, meet the needs of this number of people. So the use of ICC, and that is where we have the National Farmers Helpline Center that has come on board. And luckily for us also, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture have also established 6 zonal helpline centers. And these 6 zonal helpline centers are going to link up with the National Farmers Helpline that is located in Zaria. Presently, we are using 5 languages, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, English, and Pidgin English, to receive calls from farmers, from any farmer, anywhere. And then we actually also, give them advisory services on whatever they want, whether it is processing, production, marketing, and whatnot. And then at the same time, we also have experts, not only within the institute, but all over Nigeria, that if there's any issue that a farmer is asking about, and we don't have answer to that, we can easily link up to experts, get the relevant answers, package it, and disseminate. So that's one. And secondly, we are also into what we call adopted villages. We have, as I'm talking to now, we have more than 300 adopted villages all over the nation. And what I mean by adopted village is that we go into a community and set up 3 groups, minimum of 3 groups. We have youth group, we have women, and then conventional group. And in participatory manner, we identify what they need. First of all, we need to we do what we call kind of baseline survey, and then bring out the result with the farmers in participatory manner, and then discuss with them, and then identify their problems, identify their potential. What do they want? Because even if you say farming, what kind of farming do you want to go into? Where do you have? Do you have the land? What is your climate, and so on and so forth? If it's value addition, processing, whatever. So what?
Okay.
And we sit down and then at the end of the day, we also link them off with financial institution. In the last 5 years, NLS has been guaranteeing farmers receiving loan. And let me also tell you that this loan, there was never a year that we recover less than 95% recovery. So it is not true when somebody says the farmer cannot pay. It's not true. That means they are not farmers. Because you see, we take agriculture and show that agriculture is a business. And as a business, you have to invest. And anybody that's also bringing that financial support to you as an investment, he's going to make profit. Just like we are going to make profit. And it has been working. It has been paying. So, and we also have, the facilities for training, capacity building. We have the conference facility. Recently, the Honorable Minister came to our place, and we linked him up with more than 5-6 different farmers group in different places. And he was very impressed. And he promised to really give us more support. What it means is that we can conduct training for NRLS with different groups in different places, in the language they can understand. Because the most important thing is for you to understand the message that we are conveying to you.
Okay, so this national helpline we have, if they call, they can also reach you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, the national helpline once again is 081-3989-0090. Now, a couple of tweets have come up again, and starting with, I think, let me share this because they need to be reacted on. Adamu Modibo Kumo. Let me give that to the SSA. What are the state governments doing? Is it realistic for the FG to handle extension service? That is a concern raised by Adamu Modibo. Let me give the next one to Prof. The federal government has to impose policies on state and local governments to enable a favorable ground farming. That's to you. You respond to that. And that one came from Gane Maman. Jamilu Yeldu says, sustainability towards zero hunger in Nigeria can only be achieved by adopting modern agriculture through mechanized farming. 80% to 90% of our farmers are subsistent farmers. How feasible is it to achieve zero hunger in Nigeria? That came from Yeldu. The last one is just a concern. If farmers recollect ancient agriculture of millets cultivation, it will be healthy living and wealth for all Nigerians. So let us react. Maybe starting from you. Okay.
Thank you. I think in the affirmative, no is the answer. Federal government cannot run extension services. The extension service work is the responsibility first and foremost of the ward, the local government, and the state. Because the state own the land.
Correct.
Federal government business is around policy formulation, monitoring and evaluation, coordination, and funding, as long as there is evidence that the funding is targeting specific kind of players along the value chain. So it is not the responsibility of federal government to go and provide extension workers in the state. So it's the responsibility of the state. And that is why when federal government recruited the Empower Agro Youth, they were recruited at the ward level. In fact, sir, because I've been part of that process, we insisted that you must show residence address that you live there, because you're only getting 30,000 in a month. So we don't want you wasting it in renting. So you live at the ward, you speak the local language. Anyway, it was a tall and ambitious move by federal government. State governments by now should be discussing how do we take advantage of these young people that federal government is giving. How do we utilize them? State government need to provide some extension work services. Federal government could come in some extent, maybe some funding. For instance, if we are clear about the data of the farmers and we know who we are targeting, federal government can say, okay, for every state that has a functional, has made the move to meet up the 1 to 800 ratio as agreed upon with some experts like FAO and all the required ratio of farmer to extension work, federal government can say, okay, we create subsidy for every contract that is delivered and can be verified. But in the absence of data of where these farmers are, it will also lead to abuse. So I think it's the discussion we need to take at the state level. State need to find a policy alignment with the federal government work around encouraging extension. The question you will hear is that, but did you consult us when you deploy these people? Well, that is
okay. Let's proceed to
so we really need to deal with it, but it is the business of the state, because that is agriculture happens at the state level and state that own the land.
Okay.
Yes. Well, you see, first of all, in order to link up the question you threw to me, let me pick it up from him.
Sure.
You see, when the federal government begins to intervene in an issue, then you know that there's a failure somewhere. And we cannot continue to wait for failure to rule us. When the local government cannot do certain things, like payment of teachers' salary, you cannot allow your teachers to rot. And that's why state government said, let's take it. When it became a problem, the federal government intervened. So I want to align myself with the fact that, you see, even if the federal government wants to do extension, it's not going to do extension as the president, as the minister. It's going to do extension through agencies. They create agencies just like the NRLS. It's a federal government initiative. So they do that. They can do that at a higher level and also do some form of training. So it is not out of place completely to say that federal government cannot do extension service. It's an intervention. After all, when everything fails, you find out that donor bodies continue to flush into this country and continue to render some assistance. So to that extent, yes. See, the issue of policy and the implementation of policy has been raised. There is a meeting point, annual meeting point between the state government and the federal government. That is at the level of the National Council on Agriculture. Every year. Unfortunately, we have converted that into a form of rendezvous, a jamboree that people will come, collect, call, a night duty, DTA, go and enjoy themselves, and people pick their wives, and the business of the day is not there. Even if there is a serious deliberation over those issues, we don't take back the message home to go and spread it. So, along the line, nobody has institutionalized any system of monitoring what is the outcome of the NCA and to what extent they have actually been implemented. But come to think of it, local government do not have research institutes. State government hardly will any have a research institute. The federal government is about the only owner of research institutes.
But they are available to the states.
So they are available, and their location is such that it will reflect the various produce that are there. Today, we have a single entity. We call it the Agricultural Research System, that comprises of the about 17, 18 research institutes that are targeted towards various products. We have the Federal Colleges of Agriculture. We have the Universities of Agriculture, 3. One has come on board. And then we also have the various faculties of agriculture and veterinary medicine spread across this. So innovations are there because the extension is not going to take nothing to the people. So the technologies are there. When we praise ourselves and say we are the largest producer of this, these are all products of research that has been conducted. Yes, the research institutes have problems, but I think for the first time, as far as I know, in recent years, over maybe 20, 30 years ago, for the first time we are beginning to have people that, a leadership that is very much interested in research. Since the Honorable Minister of Agriculture came on board, I can bet with my life to say that there is no day he has not mentioned research. Every blessed day, he will tell you, because he's an experienced farmer, he knows the nooks and crannies of this country, despite the fact that he did not read agriculture. But he keeps on emphasizing this issue of research, because extension can only be available if there is an innovation for them to take to the rural population. So, but of course I know that the research system has a lot of problems. But despite our own problems, we still have what to showcase. And I think it is high time we dust, because one of the things that he has directed we should do is to have a seminar right now that will bring in the private sector to see their role in research, so that our research now by his directive should be problem targeted. What is the problem of potato in Plateau State? What is the problem of acha? What is the problem of cassava? What is the problem of maize? Now this is where for the next 3 years our researches are going to be centered on.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, we acknowledge the fact that Nigerian agriculture is largely owned by smallholder farmers, and mechanization today has evolved to have small implements that can be used by these smallholder farmers. We have power tillers, we have hand planters, we have threshers, small threshers. The important thing is to improve the productivity of that smallholder farmer. The smallholder farmer should be able to get, for example, 10 tons per hectare of maize. He should be able to get 70 tons per hectare of cassava, for example. He should be able to get 100 tons per hectare of yam to be able to achieve that zero hunger. You know, zero hunger is nothing but food security in a way. You know, we keep coming with terminology. It's food security. Food should be available, affordable, and accessible. You get so many, lots of fruits, for example, rotting in Benue State, while somebody in Sokoto is looking for orange, mango to take. But because it is not accessible to him, as far as he's concerned, he is not secured as far as mango is concerned. Similarly, we have different geographical, adaptations, geographical adaptations and competitive advantages by various areas of this country. If we are able to first ensure that food is supplied in large quantity by these small holder farmers, we are talking of availability. If we have this food having access everywhere in this country, if you want orange today in Sokoto, you can get it regardless of where it is produced. If pineapple is produced in Edo or Imo State, and you can get it in Borno State. Kettle is produced in Borno State, and you can get it in Lagos, and so on. That is about food security, access, and affordability. You should be able to afford this food. How do you afford it? By the time you improve the efficiency of this smallholder farmer. If a smallholder farmer, for example, should be able to get 10 tons per hectare of maize, I cannot see any reason why a bag of maize should not sell for 4,000 or 5,000. And that will make that food affordable. So by the time you have these three ingredients, you know, coming together and having availability, affordability, and accessibility, you are having zero hunger.
Okay.
Yes.
So if all you coordinate from the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, you are like a nucleus, bringing together so many people. If everything works, what's your projection maybe with the policies on ground, what he has churned out, the ideas he has churned out, if everything, all things being equal, what's your projection in the next 2 years? Let's use 2 years as a yardstick.
Yeah, I think our projection really in the next 2 years is to increase the farmers' productivity by minimum of 50%. And this is very possible. Why? Because we keep on disseminating the technology. Because most of these technologies, they are on ground. It's just that people are not aware of them at all. In fact, you find that when somebody is talking about fertilizer, you may find that he doesn't even know how to use the fertilizer. He's throwing the fertilizer. And by just teaching a farmer how to use fertilizer,
he will increase his productivity by 20%. Again, you will find that farmers are talking about seeds, and they don't even know the seed, they don't know where to get it. So all you just give him the necessary information. This you are from this ecological zone, and you require this type of seed because it has been tested, it's working very well, and this is why you are going to get it, and you get it, you do it. You increase his productivity by another 20%. And then the issue of information about weather, the climate. When is he supposed to plant? When is he expected to harvest or to do this and do all the agricultural practices? By the time you are giving me this, and these are the information that are available, but they are not available to the farmers because most of the farmers don't know. People keep on just going to the farm. Maybe they just think about farming or seed when there's the first rainfall. They don't even know when the rain is coming and things like that. So I mean, we have to actually mobilize farmers to be able to know that look, farming is a serious business, and you must plan for it and you must prepare for it. So this is very much possible. Secondly, the stakeholders, like I mentioned earlier, we are now trying to mobilize farmers and train them as what we call community-based advisors. This is very possible, and we have been right now. Is
this similar with the maybe change agent model?
Well,
as models.
Yes. Well,
again, terminologies.
Yes, terminologies. Precisely. So, what is there is that you see, since the state governments, one, they are inadequate of number of extension personnel because one of the finding of the result of 2019 survey shows that about 25 ADPs out of the 7 have gross inadequate manpower, and none of the ADPs that said we have enough. In fact, the only ADP that has more than 1,000 extension agents is Kano State. But when you look at also the population of Kano, you find that yes, it's still inadequate when you look at it. So the strategy is to develop the capacity of these farmers. First of all, they are farmers, and develop them so that they can actually increase their own productivity and being farmers themselves that can speak and live in the same community. The farmers have confidence in them. So with that, I believe we can increase the productivity of farmers. So it is very possible that I've just been wondering that we are going to increase the productivity of farmers in the next 2 years by 50%. But we go more than that. It all depends. And likely also, we are talking with also the different research institutes, and we are now looking at what technologies they have on shelf that we can bring out and package it and disseminate.
Okay. Let me allow the SSC to cap up, just a couple.
Well,